just that one clean from Astralis to start.
See G2, they feel like they're playing behind. I'm just talking about the scoreline. I'm talking about the tone of the game, right? I think Astralis have done well to set the tone. And they'll be able to keep that up. G2
كل المنصات بسوي لي قهوة جي ها.
But they didn't get the bomb down, so
أنا
they're just gonna have some Tech 9s and Light Util behind it. No Galils. I think punchy. As we get back underway.
يا ولد يوم فتحت بث تقول لي جيم كاستم.
So they are just all in rushing this A site, so pressure will be on the Swedish sniper with an M4.
ايه Fortnite بعدها.
He's out of position. They should be able to
يا رجال عادي.
Feels like it's going to be a certainty now. Sure, a couple of bullets do connect onto Mattis and Wrinkle softened up, but that bomb plant is a certainty.
And we have smokes, there's no HGs to break, and I don't see a kit.
Oh, wow, damage both ways, but Wrinkle's found lethality.
The smoke, this gets awkward now.
It does. Don't forget what they're working with though, Chad. It is just the pistols. But with the bomb now down and close range lights and a deagle headshot into Stair. Hunter tucked. Favorable with the Tech 9 up close. Ryu struggles but finds it. Trade from Mattis, low HP. Got a 2 on 3 and they're backing away. Accepting defeat. An open A site. I bet they couldn't believe their eyes as G2 emerged onto the A site and there's zero resistance.
Yeah, that one's tough. They didn't really have the util to try and breach back in there, and no kit meant they were always on the clock. So G2 will give themselves something to start into this game. It's a 2-round gap, 8-6 in favor of the Danish organization. This is where the game can start to slip away. We will have the Force by Wars back from Astralis, right? They save a couple of guns. They're going to upgrade again with their light loss bonus coming in. But G2 win this. It's going to have to be an eco, and we can tie up the scoreline 8-8. So how quick the tides can turn. Now he's cooled off a bit, but still early stages. He wants to take the fight close mid.
Ryu's got his work cut out for him here. It's heavy, got Mac 10, and it's easy for the FD9. Great output. With Hooksy finding Mattis cave side as well, they are in such hot water.
Just trying to bully this A side again, and they are the ones who are struggling now. 2v4 situation.
With every single one of their rotations, though. Anytime that you start to see them, maybe we're just going to send a little bit further forward. No, they scout out another team, immediately block off the line of sight. They are not trying to take any unnecessary damage, but they are having to burn through a lot more material than intended, and that could come back to haunt them later on in this lobby, Jacob, because we haven't even hit reboot shutting off just yet. And for Booga and Braids, they're going to need a refresh of material if they want to be able to stand by the game.
Yeah, but they're not just too far away from that 7th place spot. They started the game in 9th. They were down about 7 points to Vico and Malabuka, but we saw how their early game went. So Booga, Braids, just trying to play the long game, it seems like. Maybe like a few others. Retro and Phoenix, same thing could be said for them. They were able to get that victory royale in game number 2, but it's just a lack of being able to kind of do it again, or at least get close. They have the 17th and a 10th in their 2 other games, but they did have the eliminations with that victory royale, which kind of boosted them up the leaderboard. So you got to make sure to close out maybe inside of the top 10, top 5, if you're looking to stay within contention of that top 7.
Hey, fair play though to Vico and Malabuka. Nice little rotate in, glide through, cut the cord, play it safe, take over front side, and refarm anything that you can along the way. Even though they were pretty much max material, every little bit helps at this stage. And just knowing that they've prevented Peterbot and Poyo from having that freedom to just sort of immediately send it straight ahead. They are going to have to be very cognizant of where Vico and Malabuka are at, or at least get some good damage application in to prevent them from looking back and spraying their direction.
See where the zone actually forces a lot of teams, but most of them spread out. Except for the Muzz, M-Shari, Izzy, No-Sif, Cringe, Volko, Rainy even there. Not too far away from Nalu, so you got to be careful not to get caught as a solo. You see No-Sif going through that pain, just trying to shockwave to safety here. And since we are in the 7th zone, nobody will be rebooted. That goes down here, but there is chances for teams to get back in the game if they were already down before they turned off.
Definitely a tough break there, though, for Vico and Malabuka with the zone pulling the opposite direction of what they just invested towards. So now they've got a whole lot of traffic local to the area that they are going to have to try and avoid. Obviously, you want to preserve as much of your material, but that might not be possible when you've got teams like Chino, Pablo, already just waiting for the prime opportunity to strike. Bugha and Braves, though, actually going to opt to fall back into the storm, take up a little bit of damage there. They got whites to work with, but more importantly still, avoiding all of this focus. And Teeny, Shark, already letting it be known to Shadow that was not the way to go.
Yeah, that's going to be a heartbreaking loss right there. 12 planes for Shadow and Virgo. They got separated, putting a lot of pressure onto one to try to find success. Pump feeling the same type of pressure being poured his way. It's Peterbot and Pollo. They know the damage is there, but it actually gets stolen away. Pablo Ingu is able to get the knock on the Pump. Epicwell is going for a revive, but a chop comes in onto Pete and Pollo, distracting them just long enough for that revive to be an actual possibility.
Epicwell maybe even counting his lucky stars that he was able to pull that one off. Sometimes it's indirect help from the lobby, but all the better still. And it was still kicking here. Izzy, Nosif, great job concealing themselves. Didn't get the damage application they wanted against Z-Dog and Goofy, but the pressure point could definitely be applied. All depends on who actually moves first. This Pablo Chino just getting shredded on their builds right now, doing everything in their power to keep these walls closed off.
Literally just melted through all of that brick. Still have a decent amount left, and especially one elimination could definitely change things. For Pablo and Chino, they started this game in 8th place with the 89 points, and then slowly but surely rising up the rankings. Still have to be careful, though, because it's not only Shark and Teeny that are now feeling a little loose. Peter, Bot, and Pollo, I think that last game was enough. Going down relatively early in almost every single one of the games so far. 18th place, a 19th place. They did get a 9th with 3 eliminations, but if you know Peter, Bot, and Pollo, that is nothing compared to how well they can play.
Like, there's a method to the madness when it comes to these two, that's for sure. But for Vico and Malabuka, they just continue to find success after success. And for Pete and Pollo, sure, it's one thing to overthrow team on height. It's another, though, to actually see it through, especially when Shark and Teeny are still in the lobby. Vico Malabuka also going to look to try and stake their claim towards this position. And with Pete, Pollo already having those 5 eliminations, though, it is evident, Jacob, that they are going to hunt out as many as they can find. Thought they were going to be able to take out Cammy there for a moment, but instead he just narrowly avoids front of that pressure. Is now Pablo Chino still choosing to kind of operate through these low front side positions, but eventually they are going to have to look back. Pablo even taking so much space here. He's got the medkits, though. He can afford to claim it.
Yeah, worthwhile sacrifice of the HP, making sure they can get a little bit more space to work with. Peter, Bot, and Pollo still have their eyes up above. They don't want to lose sight of anybody that could potentially try to go for the high ground, and I have my eyes on 2, but they're busy with Epicwell, Pup, Shark, and Teeny being forced off the side yet again, kind of thwarting any plans that they had, and even more so now with Epicwell is able to get the knock onto Teeny. Cannot clean it up, though. Shark is able to at least save him for now.
And Shark is hoping that he could maybe get the little bit of wiggle room to try and go for a greedy revive, but it's too late. That slight delay was all it took to prevent him from having a full run of it with Teeny, and that plan has now been thwarted. That's going to also overexpose. Peterbot's going to drop from height, but he'll have no issues whatsoever reconnecting where Pollo is at. It's just knowing that Shark and Teeny didn't get the chance to actually fizz crash pad up, and that's going to be a big swing now. Vico Malabuka are going to have to make this attempt all on their lonesome, and with very little material to work with, they just got to take care of what's right in front of them.
Yeah, I know he had his eyes on that high ground, but as you said, low materials, that might not be a possibility any longer. Chino forced down below. It's Peterbot and Pollo, the ones that are going to take down Pablo. Vico as well, that's going to get all of that loot and kind of steal it away. The Chino staggering back. 0 builds. He needs the perfect elimination here. Shockwave to try to get him to the front, but it only puts him in the limelight. He is facing danger left and right. A full team of the bots. It's Buka and Braids that eventually end their run.
They had no idea who was just scrambling inside of that box with them, but hey, whatever works. But Vico, big shots onto Pollo, and the high ground gonna be up for grabs. That's all it takes. Pete, Pollo eliminated, so Malabuka still managing to get the job done, even if he doesn't have any materials to work with. They'll farm them out along the way, but more importantly still, Booga Braids, they won't get the chance. Malabuka, Vico refusing to budge. much.
And to our top three we go. Vico and Malabuka. He kept his word. He said he's going for high ground, and so far he hasn't. No! The splat! I spoke too highly of him. He goes down, leaving Vico by himself, but there goes the first one, bringing it down to a 1v1 situation. He has no time to pop the heals. He's buying everything that he has. Down below on the other side, Edson from Brazil, qualifying from their region, bringing it down to this moment here. His teammate going down, putting all the pressure on him to succeed. Vico, on the other hand, has overthrown him, has taken the high ground. 3 builds left, shockwaving down, trying to displace Edson. It doesn't work, but the shot still lands. Vico somehow, someway wins that game.
And Vico, Malabuka, you just know that he's got to be feeling so relieved right now, because that was nearly a sell that you do not want to witness on the big stage. Instead, they can laugh about it later, knowing that they were still able to secure the victory royale and certainly catapulting themselves very comfortably inside that top 7 threshold.
I was scared for them in a moment. I was scared watching Malabuka slip off. I thought maybe he had the shockwave, but then he splats onto the ground. And for Vico to kind of just brush that off very, very quickly and immediately go to work to not only get that elimination, but then clutch the 1v2. That was absolutely insane. And these are why they are a reigning, defending FNCS Major 1 Summit Land champions.
And look, don't get me wrong, Vico had 17 builds more to work with than Edson in those final moments, but the fighting IQ was clearly there. He doesn't waste any time. He doesn't go for an overly aggressive, all-out, just open, clear edit. He really takes over height. He wanted to have that leverage of having the option to look down, make sure that he could secure those right-hand positions even, and that just made it so complicated for Edson. He was already working into a deficit, being so limited on materials, so great job there to Vico to really keep his cool in that moment, but he's not new to this. He's been here before, and obviously we got to hear from them directly.
3 builds. You can pop a big. No, not. Let's go!
All while playing that, just kind of calm, cool, collected. Even while he's shockwave up, Malabuka say, you can pop a big, you're good. He has nothing down below. And then he hits him with a flying elbow drop off the top rope to take that game.
Just really solid Fortnite there from Vico. And I know he's definitely had his instances even leading up to this series, Jacob, where Vico's kind of had those dips. And I don't want to say that they were, you know, shattering to his confidence, but for a moment he was very open about the fact, you know, man, after Summit, definitely took a little bit more time off than maybe what I should have. Things have been a little bit shaky, things have been a little bit rough, but leading into this tournament, he has been on the grind, hustling non-stop to put himself back into a very strong contention. Major 2, forget it ever took place, because right now it is all about the Esports World Cup.
Yep, you see, just a huge game for them. That's got to start to boost the confidence, and that's going to be the biggest things, because we know Sharktini, Peter Batampoyo, Vico, Malabuka, and so many others can win this entire event, right? But it's about how you're playing in any given moment, the vibes, the confidence, and that is what these guys have. But that's going to do it for us here from Game 4. Don't go anywhere, because we'll be right back.
ولد توني راجعنا وش يا ولد التيك توك بندوني يا ولد يقول your life visibility restricted your life is not eligible for recommendation and come reported content this life is وش أبيد ولا وش
The vibes here at the Esports World Cup are unreal. We have to get amongst it, Vivid. How are we feeling, guys?
ما أدري إذا قلت شغال في تيك توك ولا لا
We're feeling good. I think everyone's feeling pretty good. That's a good sign. The games so far, Vivid, I mean, they've been unbelievable, worthy of all this hype.
Absolutely incredible. I mean, Vico at the end there with an incredible clutch. We were kind of walking over here to sit in the stands, and everybody was getting so hyped. I had to go ahead and take a pause. I was like, what's happening up on the big screen? Of course, it's going to be Vico and Malabuka making a rise up towards the top of the leaderboard. What was it? They had like 95 points going into that game. Gosh, I could only imagine where they're at now.
I mean, that's just a classic Vico solo clutch right there. It's what we're used to with this guy. He does it on the big stage. That's
كم باقي والله ما عندي علم صراحة كم باقي.
You're the sort of NA expert, the resident NA expert here. Is this sort of what we can expect from Peter Bottompoyer now? Are they starting to grow into the competition?
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the leaderboard. Have they done enough to even jump up to the top 10? No, they have not. Actually, I was
group
preparing
stages,
myself. I was like, oh my gosh, they're
group
up on the
group
high
A صح؟
It's looking good for them. Like they're on 33 points going into this game, but no, still not enough there. But good to see that they are taking control of some of the end game at the very least. Talk about NAC representation, though, man. I mean, Booga and Braids. Who called these guys? There it is. Okay. Booga and Braids getting some love directly around us right there. You actually talked to Clicks, and he called it out. Booga's going to be winning.
Shout out to Clicks. He has something. He knows something. I think a lot of the people would have said Peter Bottompoyer are going to be the team to look out for, right? So, you know, I want to talk about Izzy and Nosif as well. What a performance from our French guys here on land. The vibes, honestly, are ecstatic. When those guys managed to figure the win, it was like nothing else at all. Now, of course, you played on the biggest stages, right? You played the World Cup. You played on these massive stages. You're used to this sort of environment. If you're sort of further down on the leaderboard now, how do you approach this sort of latter half of the competition?
I've always been a super big fan of just sticking to what you know, because kind of like changing anything up would be detrimental, right? You know exactly what you have prepared for, so you got to go ahead and stick to it.
You really do. I mean, I'm ready for the next game. Are you guys around me ready for the next game? Are we ready, guys? Let's go to it.
Look, we are all ready to see what is going to take place. This is essentially the halfway point for Group A's competition. And right now, Jacob, we are starting to see just the tiniest gaps really starting to improve, particularly within that top 3 threshold. So right now, places 4 through 7, those are going to be the ones that are ultimately up for grabs. These teams, they're kind of dependent
Crossfire.
on early departures from duos that are already within the safety net.
يا رجال نشوفهم يا اسامي اللي بيهم يتأهلون بس لأن النقاط مهمة.
How do you shut them down? Do you risk it and go for an early fight off spawn and try to disorient your competition, or do you just stick to your original strategy? See if you can come out strong, just playing with what you know.
I mean, I've always been one that if I'm gonna win or lose a game, it's gonna be something I did or didn't do. And already, Shark gets an elimination on the one and immediately gets shut down after. What I was kind of prefacing there is I would like to play aggressive. If you're not necessarily inside of that bubble, figure out a way to get points. Because playing for just placement so far hasn't necessarily worked. Just Gino finally goes down.
Gino had he thought he was maybe dealing with one. Not
عطني الرابط ما منك فصل عطني
Ari and Cammy. That's a tough break. But Shark, Teeny, they're also on the move. Alex, unfortunately, going to be taken out. He'll be forced into the viciousness of the reboot cycle. And not only that, but Shark just stealing away all of the loot that's nearby. Alex and Reckless are going to have to get the job done somewhere else. But for Shark and Teeny, Vico, Malabuka, these are 2 teams that I think we could pretty confidently say have stamped their position inside of that top 7 threshold. And obviously they're going to keep trying to keep the ball rolling, but also the world's kind of their oyster.
Yeah, and I feel like the only way for these 2 teams that you're talking about to fall out of that top 7 is literally for them to just not care anymore and maybe not even really kind of put it to the test like they have been. So Shark, Teeny, they've just been one of them teams that you look at and just gotta be so impressed as we continue to look around, seeing where some of these teams are at. Cringe Voca started this game in 14th place. They had 81 points, but you can see they have an elimination, so they themselves are starting to close the gap. But as of now, the halfway point or so, it's about 124 points. So even Pablo and Gino are barely safe, and I don't know how long it's gonna remain so, especially since Shark gets his revenge.
And the worst part about Shark and Teeny and these types of competition, Jacob, that all of EU is all too familiar with. Once they feel like they don't have any kind of pressure, that there's no stakes involved, they just start going all
I feel like that's really unfortunate. You have a gigantic round
تمصرت
for someone like
بالبداية
Shady,
باثنين ثلاثة. وش الراوندات السريعة
who's
دي؟
also leading his squad, and then maybe some of that momentum and emotion is taken away when you go for that kind of a timeout timing. But either way, that is all done as they are pushing on in. A nice little push here from the side of Falcons. They do make their way onto the A site. Comics on the back of it here is going to pick off one so far. We'll see if he can line up a couple more kills, but Shady waiting for it as nades fly in. Comics stays calm. He's just waiting for Beck probably to rotate all the way around, so not going to go for a peek just yet.
It's a full distraction, though. Like, look at this. All three players are essentially looking at him only. Like, they haven't paid any sort of attention to anywhere else. Now that he's being more quiet, now these guys from Falcons can actually just reposition themselves. Now they're going to recommit to this plant. So this is interesting. This is given a little bit of room here for Nemesis to kind of work with something. Beck, though, if he can get this Paul Flash, that might allow Comics to be able to just do something big. Lands onto 2. Oh, good spam, but it's not the kill. And now Beck's trying to see if he can be able to finish the meal with him here. They're both just having a bit of an appetizer. That timer is depleting. Ammo runs out of the chamber, and now Comics, someone that's been quiet, unfortunately, will go to the grave in this one. We're back into a tie game scenario once again.
Yeah, I think when we saw this matchup on the docket, we were like, yeah, this is going to be a close one. I do think that what Alucard said is mostly true, where it does feel like, in his opinion at least, that as a region, Vietnam has
لا مو اللي طلقة ذاك. أنا ما أتكلم عن طلقة. ولا هذا والله ما أدري.
Absolutely.
And West has caught up a bit. I think that West has really put together some very strong rosters. We've already seen some work being done by Team Vitality, and obviously Nemesis trying to follow up on what they've been able to do. So should be very close. And already we're seeing that a lot of these rounds are extremely close. It's 3-3 as well on the scoreboard. So definitely in for a bit of a longer grind between these two teams. And we'll see how it does end up. But yeah,
لا نكمل شوف جيمهم كامل. فورتنايت ما في شيء يا رجال. فورتنايت باقي 6 أيام غير الجيم اللي يلعبونه الحين. غير المطول.
Big plays in clutch situations.
وش اللي
So it's been a lot of fun
فايف
so
تقصد
far.
فورتنايت أنت؟
And this time around, Falcons actually going to take it a little bit slower. We did see them push pretty quick on the last round, but now taking things slower.
مطولين لين الساعة 9 بيجلسون.
Yeah, Comics looking like he might want to try to be a playmaker in this one a little bit. He's just going to tuck tail, but luckily Rapid there to help him out. So again, now focus is going to be shifted onto him. So Comics is in a great spot where they might not expect him to be here. Dipsy unfortunately goes down as well, so he was trying to get a little bit cheeky through the wall. And that's going to be Shady once again, just putting a monstrous performance so far, like 9-3, like him alone and Beck just being able to put up some big numbers.
لصق من كاونتر سترايك. حتى الكل 1 كل.
So Falcons are just taking their time on
شوف ناظر 1 كل.
And Comics has actually been able to push around. This is a little bit awkward, and now Comics is just trying to do something, but Shady once again, man, a little bit of the boogeyman. He's just sitting in the wind here, just waiting for these duels. And Nemesis, unfortunately, don't seem to have the answer. Now Alucard on a 1-on-4 task. 20 seconds remaining.
لو خسروا خلاص ما يتأهلوا للبلاي اوف صح؟
And Alucard has to make a tough decision here. Do you want to go through short? Do you want to go through long? What is the right position here for him to do? He's got the sniper. He gets that first kill. 9 seconds remaining. They finally get the plant down. But he really has a suspicion somebody's on the heels. He does have some time to work with. He's going to try to use the smoke somewhat of as an advantage if he can. But look at Falcons. They're committing to this fight. Fast and also Carrot do double peek this. So they will get themselves back into winning fashion.
Yeah, Shady just setting up the team for the victory in that one. And not much that Alucard could do in the 1v4 at the end of the day.
أسطر آسيوي. تبي ولا؟
Hits the shot. Swinging into 3, not the easiest thing to do.
Nope.
So Falcons, nice little lead so far here on Black Widow. Not a big one, but it does feel like through the help of Shady and even Carrot, who's been slowly but surely clawing his way up here on the scoreboard, it does feel like the firepower is finally coming through here for the side of Falcons. And we do have Raffin this time pushed up pretty far, it looks like, on the catwalk on short.
هذاك معلق اللاعب ولا
And Might be able to get the drop onto someone if they do peek through mid. There's been a lot of lurking around mid from Dola, and maybe he's just trying to get ahead of that. And if you lock down mid and you've got Alucard watching A long, that can allow you to send 3 people over towards B and hold off a push there.
And yeah, Rapid, I think he should have been able to spot that one player in short, but instead he goes for the first one in front. There it is, Rapid, beautifully done. I was wondering, patience is going to be a virtue, and indeed it is. He finds himself that triple kill. I didn't know if he was going to be able to find more than that one, but he will prevail. And now Falcons, they fall short. Look at Beck, just gets ultra aggressive as well. So the two of them combined just get the job done. A tie game, and this thing, like you said, it feels like a bit of a ping pong match. It is going back and forth, and again, it's very interesting considering that Falcons, like, I think on paper seem to be the favorites in this, but I don't think it's as big of an advantage as, you know, the community was kind of voting. Like, I think it was a 90-10 or something like that, right? But I get it. I mean, you see Falcons, you're like, yeah, clearly have to be a favorite, but that's where Nemesis being in the dark horse position is not a bad thing at all, because they have a lot to prove here.
Yeah, Nemesis are a very strong team in their own right. We're already seeing that here in how close this can be. Shady gonna start off, actually has the rifle this time. Tons of action on short. And Dola just gonna brute force through there, actually. Does end up winning alongside a Carrot. Once again, consistent Carrot he is. Dipsy comes in.
يا حبيبي حتى الجمب سبوتس نفس كاونتر سترايك.
He can pull this one off. Alucard was not able to do the 1v3, but yeah, he doesn't get that initial kill, and I think that's certainly gonna hurt him here. As here he does come to push. Might be able to isolate Dola, but again not able to hit the shot. And Dipsy
وإذا زاح والله يبش قدام وجهه.
for the rifle in his hand there, as he's not able to hit the sniper shots. And slight advantage here to Falcons as they brute force on.
ليش حاطين قدامهم زي الحاجز؟
Like this is a really good half considering
what
they've been able to do. And let's not forget, like we're talking about just the statistics of it is the fact that you have Beck, putting up some decent numbers, and
طيب وش دخل الحاجز ذا الحين حاطينه بينهم؟
putting himself in the right positions yet. He's still a little bit quiet. Comics, unfortunately, maybe those nerves are just
قاعد تشوف بثهم ولا لا؟ في حاجز كذا بالستيج بين اللعيبة.
To be able to put their foot on the gas a little bit more and kind of get back in their groove if they can. But nonetheless, I mean, it's good to see that someone like Raffin is able to put up some good rounds for these guys. But they're going to need some other players here to step things up if they want to still compete with this. And let's not forget, I mean, Shady is the one that has put up like really, really good, openers here. Like I know Carrot's close on by, but Shady seems to be the playmaker and really creating a lot of space and finding good activation.
Yeah, it's a massive pickoff along your note there, Laz, because it's Alucard, a guy who has numbers, taking out Shady, who has, but now the push comes in. After they get that initial pick, Comics also going to pick up one with his headshot, and now Carrot not in the greatest spot here. He's in the window. Up against 3, he's getting flashed, he's getting naded. They know exactly where he is. And he's just going to go for the stop on the plant, but Dipsy
هذا آخر أسبوع ها؟
try, but not going to happen, and it really is just a back.
متى راح تبان ملامح الأول؟
One round goes to Nemesis.
Yeah, it's just funny how this is just is not like any sort of a massive lead, right? I mean, even the fact that Falcons were calling a timeout when it was 2-2, it just kind of shows like, hey, look, there's a lot of stress in this game, and it feels like a lot of tension, right? Because again, let's not forget, like, loser of this matchup, they're done, right? Their key is destroyed. Everybody goes home on that, right? So a lot at stake. Like Falcons were the position where we were saying they shouldn't be here, but unfortunately they are. And that's kind of the same argument for Nemesis, where they were actually causing a lot of ruckus here against a team like Rock. And okay, all right. Nemesis now creating even more space. And look at this. It's just the shooting gallery. And Falcons seem to be on the receiving end, and they're just, the targets are all getting hit now, and you're just leaving it down to 2 players. The nade alone does so much damage, and a little bit of a quick play from Dipsy. He's just getting that intel, but look at that. Again, with
يا ولد روند يفوزون روند ذاك يتقدمون نفس الشيء.
To finish the last little crumb on the plate. So now Nemesis have put
Nemesis يا والله وجيه هذول العرب كلهم الظاهر.
Yeah, they got 2 in a row, which we haven't seen really for a while.
لا نيمسيس صدقني كلهم عرب. 2 شوام وواحد هذا مصري ذا.
I can feel the pace kind of rising as Nemesis move over to the blacklist side, and even that first round after the half, we saw Shady get the pick off, or was it Carrot? Not 100% sure, but
هذا عراقي ده. ما يمديني اشوف اللعيبه. وش الموقع اللي بيعلمك اللعيبه من وين او الروسترات؟ ليكويد، لا مو بليكويد.
A long, wide open if they would like to go for it, but at the moment they're not positioned to do so as they are over there in the waterway. So might be a little bit of a slower round after a couple of fast ones.
يطلع لي اللاعبين بس انا بالريجل حقهم من وين؟
This tension, like we talked about, is getting really high, right? They're again the loser of this. I think that's why we're starting to see slow plays. A little bit of a misplay here from the Falcons. It looks
nice
really
push.
gross. It looks just so congested.
ضد ثلاثة الحين.
I was kind of critiquing Nemesis on this.
يا
I was
ولد.
thinking like their GR side, like there was times they were just running into each other. It looked really,
والله مزعب
awkward.
الفرد.
And then Falcons, they're doing the exact same thing here on the GR side. So I don't know. Nemesis are looking like now the BL side seems to be the moneymaker. It's the magic, the magic stick on this because now they've been able to, like you said, find 3
ما في ولا جمهور، ما في أحد.
in a row. And Falcons,
ستيج فاضي.
pressure might be a little bit overwhelming for them now.
أنت تقول حظهم من اللعبة ذي عليها مليون وشيء.
I mean, I go back to Fast, who was waiting on a long, and it's almost like he didn't see the guys coming in, and he pokes his head out and goes down for free. And this is the sub that's coming in. Like, he had a good start. We can't expect all too much from someone who's kind of an emergency sub in this kind of fashion. But
الله نص خلصت من
one guy in a match that's this close, not able to do it.
شماب كيبورد وش تفهم أنت أكثر منه. طيب بس
and now trying to push on in here. Raffin just spamming through the window, and it is going to be B site controlled for now by Nemesis.
إذا على كذا أجل نلعب ألعاب البراوزر. عرفت ألعاب البراوزر؟
As we do have the big rotation coming in here. Dola way back in spawn. That's first kill to pack. This guy has just been on point.
ماني مستهزئ فيها. أدري إن في لها جمهور كبير. بس ما هي
And it's only Dola who is left alone here in the 1v2. And there is so little time left. He's just not looking the right way. Raffin
يا ولد 8-5.
4 rounds in a row, they have really run away with Black Widow.
Yeah, this has been very impressive. I mean, this is where I was giving a little bit of that criticism where I was saying, look, I need like Alucard to step up.
Falcon is not looking good.
Find some space, and they're doing it. That's exactly what you need. And that's where we've been praising Alucard, saying like, look, like there is definitely matches where he was, out-sniping Snare. He's been able to, duel a bunch of people in the West League. And like I said, he's been really
جمهورها كبير والله فعلا جمهورها كبير عزوز. كل أطفال. لا روبلوكس.
Nemesis finding themselves in the position where they're finding these opening duels. You have someone like Raffin. We always talk about his rifling abilities. He's sitting at 16-9. So him and Beck together hitting the double digits before any of his other teammates have been able to do so yet. So these guys are
للسبب أكيد في شيء.
try to see if they can get this thing done here on the first map and putting themselves in a prime position to still stay in the column of, staying alive in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, when everyone who needs to step up eventually does step up, you've got a well-oiled machine of a team that is working. Comics gets the info. I mean, I see him talking. He has spotted fast. He does a ton of damage to the both of them. And just like that, I mean, you're just hanging out. You already have the man advantage. You take away more than a full health bar on, split between 2 people. That's going to feel great here for Comics.
First look at وش الماب ذا شو اسمه؟
And Danksy picks off one. They're going to double peek him and at least clear that out. A little bit messy. It's okay. They do get through.
تبون نشوف خلي ينتهي الجيم ونسوي لها نتابع مع بعض.
But they might just rotate quick enough to avoid this.
Yeah, this could be good from Dola though, because again, like I was thinking if he could get the timing a little bit better, if he actually decides
رايحين فيها مرة.
he might find a decent timing. He has to get that move on now, right? And that's where Alucard, I mean, look at that. They get the kill. Now they get so much room that they can work with. I feel like even Dola's flank is not really going to be that great because look at Beck knows right away. He's like, look, there should be something going on. Perfect read. So again, this was what, the interesting thing. We go back to what Sneaky said in the beginning.
ورا الكاميرا تتفجرت يا ولد. هذه لعبة جديدة، هذه أول مرة يلعبونها صح؟ السنة هذه. لا برايس بول حقه 300,000. 300,000. وين بارث؟ عليه 300,000 بس دولار. نفس كاونتر سترايك نفس خلاص.
لا يا اخوي كاونتر تغير.
لا بس يعني نفس انا اتكلم نفس الميكانيك، يعني قريب الشيء منها شوي، في اشياء منها. الميكانيك القديم، ما اتكلم عن كاونتر سترايك 2. انا زيك اول مره اشوفها.
اصبر فالكون شدوا حيلهم بذا.
Funnily enough, maybe
وين؟
if Beck is able to get another 1v4, maybe that's a good statement.
There you go.
Look on the bright side.
بيفوزون
Yeah, and honestly, I kind of like this too because when you're up by 4 rounds, like yeah, you obviously
ده وش ذا ما ادري.
5, but the fact that they just try to do something very unorthodox, they're like, look, let's go down long A, let's not even use utility, let's see if we catch them off guard. I don't even think that's unreasonable. I think that's actually, it's a good move just because you want to see, right? You already feel like you're probably in their heads a little bit. You're like, okay, let's just see. If it doesn't work out, then we reset. Right now, like again, the team
يا ولد كلها اطفال فورتنايت.
He's still alive, still got just over that minute remaining.
لا اسحب كلامي هذا.
Beck, I mean, he's in the position where he knows that he's most likely not going to be able to find this clutch, but he's still just kind of waiting things out, just trying to see if he might be able to find something. Falcons playing this really well, though. Again, just splitting the 2-2 buddy system. So, Beck would have to be able to hit the most crazy shots to be able to find 2 kills. And that would have to be a massive slip here from Falcons. But nonetheless, conversations are definitely happening. He's having a good time.
He's just like mid-round. Somebody's talking to him. Certainly.
Trolling, ها؟ وقبل ترى انا بس كذا اشوف، ابي اشوف ردة فعل العالم، ولا انا ماني مقصدي يخربها.
مشاهدات وادعية.
As long as they can maintain focus without the pressure. That like that, as it looks like either he goes for a very late push on an A, or he's just gonna sit here.
فورتنايت حط حلو لانه يوزع اكواد ما شاء الله عليه. فيها اكواد. ايه لانه فيها اكواد وكذا، العالم متحمس معه. فورتنايت فالورانت من فاز فيها؟ فالورانت من فاز فيها؟ LWC. فالورانت ظهر تيم امريكي، ظهر 100 ثيفز او ظهر 100 ثيفز فازوا فيها 600,000.
Yeah, I think it's I think the seriousness of it is definitely gonna, really it just started flooding in here for Falcons, and I actually do like that Beck just kind of used all that time where they, like I said, the team can just talk amongst each other. They use it as like that little bit of a timeout, the informal one. So it's a good way for them not have to, burn it right away. They can just kind of preserve it because they still do have that available in their back pocket. Let's not forget the Falcons were the team that called that.
وحتى الشات ما في أحد.
So that's where
لا جمهور لا شات.
Go back in favor for Falcons. They can still utilize that just to slow down momentum, which is a great thing to see. But really interesting setup that we get from the Nemesis squad right now. This is where typically they've gone through long A, been able to win a lot of gunfights. This time they mix it up. And you can see that Falcons, they have a huge hunch that it's going to be a B hit.
حلوة.
They talked about
حلوة يا كارت. First kill.
to be that threat, and he does.
الحين عايش كيف عايش يا ولد؟ قدام اثنين يا ولد محوطينه ماسكينه والله يوم حاشرينه. جو حلوة حلوة فاست. يا ولد نمسس بدي يرجعون فالكون. هذا اللي وراهم وش الكوتش؟ والله حسب منظم تصدق.
Now Falcons begin to build their snowball, and it's a close map all of a sudden, 9-7. And you can see that Nemesis are playing a bit fast and loose. It's what won them a lot of the rounds, so I don't blame them. But at the same time, they're being stopped in their tracks now. Shady, maybe you don't want to push into him.
Yeah, he's like the strongest player that's been on their team so far, and the fact they keep trying to contest him is really interesting. because he has been pretty much
فعالية حلوة
A
صراحة.
site the whole time. It hasn't really been like he's been running over to B that often. So a little bit interesting from Nemesis, but we'll have to see. These West teams definitely like to make it a little bit more hard for themselves when they shouldn't, but that just seems to be the trend, unfortunately, for all the West League guys that know. But we'll have to see. Really good kill that comes through from Alucard. Does get away too, but in Comics, he actually finds himself a duel. Takes a lot of damage, but look, it's still going to help because you got 4 players alive. Now Falcons have been burned down to 3. And this is it. This is the last round potentially that could be on the plate. This could be the last one available. And you have the shots getting made from Carrot just inside a window. Shady close on by. Comics might even try to go for the swing, and he does.
الفرد ده يخرع.
He has 10 HP. He doesn't care at all. And now he sits himself at 8 duels. And they're going to be able to get this plant down. And now Falcons, they're on the back board.
مرة كأنه توه ورع عن عمره 6 سنوات.
Pushes up. He has backup from Comics, who's just going gigantic mode here on this round. As Raffin, come on, buddy, you can do it. He does finish his off, finally gets the kill. And there's only smiles on the guys' faces here on the side of Team Nemesis, as it is a beautiful blacklist side. And
والله فازوا Nemesis.
super confident after this victory to start it
بس
off.
ظهر باقي جيم ولا؟
That they don't necessarily rate Falcons all too highly, and I think that we got to see a lot of confidence from that blacklist side. The job's not done yet, though. They got to win one more, and we'll see if Falcons can go back to the drawing board, as they have not.
Best of 2. نرجع لفورتنايت. ما في شيء فورتنايت خلصوا جيمهم. الاقيام نفس بعض. ايه شفت. والله مشاهدات فورتنايت وين فرق 100,000. قبل شيء كانت 100,000 بعد. جوالي وين؟ اي صح تبي نشوف العرض حق شو اسمه. صدق انا ودي اشوفه عشان منها.
شوفها انا دقايق واجي.
طيب شات بسم الله. الكام صغيرة ادري ما يحتاج. I know. لازم اكبرها. فين بسرعة اشتغل قبل ما يبدأ جيمهم دولة. اوكي انا ليش اطولها؟ خلاص من نفس السين وانتهينا. طيب نشوف العرض حقهم. بسم الله. والله يا جرانت تسربت بالوقت الغلط، الوقت اللي الحدث حق نتفليكس و جي تي ايه تسربت الدنيا، يبون نسخة الفيزيكال سي دي. طيب ما علينا، خلينا نشوف فيست لوك. ماب اوف دي، اوه هذا الماب حق الدي ام زد. راح نشوف الحين ماب حق الدي ام زد، وهذا اللي راح نلعب فيه في الطرق جراند وور في البيتا الاسبوع الثاني. بسم الله نشوف. كان قريب من حق المزرعة، لعبوا الماب المزرعة، في شيء من المزرعة. في 10 ثانية بس. هذا اللي يتذكرون لعبوا المزرعة، كان فيه زي بالسيتي، مدينة اللي كذا داخل المدينة، أكبر مدينة من المزرعة زي كذا، فيه بريدج. شوف الدبابة، خلينا نرجع نشوف الدبابة. في من ملامح المزرعة. صراحة من الماب المزرعة من أفضل المابات عندي، استمتعت فيها مرة. حرفيا فرداس بعدين المزرعة هذه. أوه بعد لو تشوفون السيارة بعد، هذه بعد من المزرعة ذي. حتى الاير سترايك نفس الشيء، شوف الاير سترايك يخترق يا سلام. والهيلي نفسها. الدبابة ان شاء الله انه ما في دبابات في الورزون، بس في جراند وور اتمنى بس. اوكي ما اعطونا مرة، بس انه كملامح والله صراحة متحمس. متحمس اني العب الدي ام زد، وان شاء الله يكون هذا ما الورزون الكبير، باتل رويال. تت 47 ثانية، 47 ثانية. الله أكبر الله أكبر.
of the map here, and if Dola does not perform and he just gets run over by his head-to-head, which is Raffin,
You know,
then
Falcons
that
take a risk on him once again.
Hello.
You know, they kind of redesign
Hello,
this
hello.
roster. They keep Shady, but they also keep Dola.
يا ابوي
And
نزلت
Dola in
2000
game one
مرة
arguably didn't perform that well.
ولا جبت الشيء اللي انا بيه.
Yeah, Dola for me, when we look back at 2024, he
انا
was the
شفت
star player.
الماب
Everybody
وشفت
thought
كل
he was
شيء
gonna be the
والحين قاعد
next greatest
امنتجه.
player in the
يا اخي
entire
الماب
world,
قريب
but
من
2025
المزرعة،
and
في من
onward, he's been
المزرعة
very
كثير.
hit and miss, and now more than ever they need him to step up and rise to the occasion.
الجسر، المدينة، السيارات.
Crossfire ولا ماب
I think so.
Fortnite.
Part of it too is just this roster
تكلم
has
لك عن
gone through a lot of changes over the last 2
اللي
years.
نزلوه
You
حق
think back
الدي ام
to
زد.
2024, Wolf Empire, they're 3
كود.
players down from that original lineup, and they've had to adapt a lot since then. Losing Rambo, losing Lucas, they had some of their core kind of just fall by the wayside over the years, and they're always seeming to be in this rebuilding stage.
Yeah, it is. It's a constant rebuilding stage, which is tough. And how many times will Falcons take a chance on Dola, on Shady, right? This is back-to-back years. Now, you know, the nice guy in me hates to put this pressure in these even narratives, right? Because they're great guys, they're great players, and they come in and put in all their effort. But let's talk about what the future holds for whether it's Falcons or Nemesis, regardless who ends up moving forward. They play against Baisha next. That's going to be the next opponent, Shady. Obviously, he wants to take on that challenge if they get there. They've got to get their Nemesis first. Sneaky, your face, though, has a lot of concern on it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going straight into one of the hardest series that you've ever fought, maybe for Nemesis and Falcons, and then you just, you know, swim with the Sharks in the next series, right? Obviously, with how good the form is for the side of Baisha, despite what happened up against KZ, you know, this is going to be an uphill battle for both of the teams, no matter who qualifies.
نروح انا وياك
The one
امريكا
benefit I will
نجرب
give
كود.
Shady, though, as the captain of this
يلا.
team, he knows how to take down a Chinese team in a
عندنا
best of
عندي
3
فيزا أمريكية بس
situation. We
منتهية.
saw back in
من سنة
2024.
انت حظك انت ما قد طلعت، انت يمديك تطلع على طول.
At CFS, so if anybody could push
لا
a
انا
team
كنت
to that
مطلعها
level,
مع
he's the guy to
هذه
do it.
ايه ما له دخل مع اهلك. لا انا ما له دخل، خلاص دام كنت طلعت يمديك تطلع بسرعة بعد.
يا رجال زين حظهم مدير يا رجال.
صدق حظهم مديرة.
كمل مكان خايس.
بس انت رحت بعز
مجردين بكل مكان.
بعز امريكا.
كان بوقت اوباما.
اوباما تو متعين اوباما ها. اسمه قبل ذاك وانت رحت 2012.
And LDX looks like he actually might be making a return. I don't know officially. Maybe he's just coming in to say hello, give some words of encouragement.
He's seen enough.
But is LDX stepping back onto the stage? Is that why we've been waiting? If so, I'm okay with this little break. I'm okay with LDX coming in and Falcons having their best chance.
Yeah, this is massive. I mean, LDX coming into the equation could be the game changer they need.
خلنا نشوف ذولا
What he can do for
بعد
this
نحاول
team.
بك شكلك
He's one of those
طفشان
players who
مرة.
helps them open up the map. He can find those key entries, but he's also really strong in the clutch alongside the Shady, and that's something they were missing very clearly in that first map. Players like Beck not being allowed to 1v4, this is your guy to make that happen.
Oh yeah, for sure, because usually when you do have fast on your team, you really want to, no pun intended, play fast because he does benefit from the higher
والله نزلوا لقطات كثيرة انا توني انتبه. منزلين الملتي بلاير تريلر ومنزلين ملتي بلاير ماني مهتم له صدق مرة.
When LDX was not actually playing, it was a lot of reckless pushes from their side as well. With LDX being back, we're finally going to see a bit more strategy on the side of Team Falcons.
Yeah, we're going to have a little bit more of a break here. We'll still stay with you all and spin up some narratives, but for LDX, he needs to get set
شوف النيوك، شفت النيوك كيف؟ رهيب يا شيخ.
Game number 2 going to look a lot different now going on to Ankara as Falcons have their
بكره يجي ترى على الايميل الاكواد ونبدا
And
نحمل.
Kyle, I must say this, the fact that they took Black Widow
الحين ما سويت ريديم.
their sub, I can only imagine what they're going to do now with the full roster that they intended to play this
ولا
series
ودك
with.
اعزمك على كود.
I'm a little bit shaken right now.
لا لا تسوي ريديم
With the
انت ما
Falcons
تقدر
they're
تلعب
up against, and now it might be a stronger Falcons they have to face going
ما عندك
into
بلاي
their map
ستيشن
pick, but
ولا تقدر تسلف
it
بلاي
may
ستيشن.
feel like it's their pick.
تخيل العب بلاي ستيشن شو الفايدة؟ لا اقدر اسجل ولا اقدر اسوي بث.
And for Falcons, this is still a top 3 map.
Absolutely, and it's crazy to say that, you know, honestly, I would rather play.
يقدر ابثها بس لا بدون فيس كام لا اوفرليز لا دنيا ولا شيء.
Shaking it up, right? You think you feel comfortable, you think you feel good. Now all of a sudden, you've got to rethink everything. Do you focus carrot now,
لا لا.
or do you go all in on LDX? It's like,
وش اطلب القطعة من
where do you
عندهم؟
get your attention?
Yeah, and I think that this is going to be quite the challenge here for the IGL of Nemesis, right? Because you're going to have to think a different dimension now that LDX is actually here. And
تصدق انها عندي.
enable Dola to finally start fragging and Danksy to be a bit more comfortable, because it kind of felt like there hasn't been a day that we can say, hey, Danksy was doing the carry and Dola's
لا ما عندي
the
القاتل
like he
خربت.
did back home. So, you know,
القاتل كان داخل البي سي.
hopefully we do see a better version of Falcons, but I mean, judging from the look of Nemesis here, they don't seem too shaken. You can see Kevin smiling in the back.
Yeah, he's smiling. He's smiling for now anyways. And you know what? Keep those smiles up. Because after all, for Nemesis, they're still in a great spot, right? They're still up 1-0 in the series. It's not up to them to answer back. It's up to the Falcons. So for Nemesis, they're in the driver's seat, and they've got to be feeling more confident than ever, especially with the two veterans, Valukart as well as Beck. Plus, Rafton, the veteran himself, right? Leading the charge. When things get tough, you can lean on him.
Yeah, he's got to feel good with how things have been going, especially considering his situation
أقول
throughout
ما
the
تقال الأسبوع الجاي بيجي الرياض.
season.
يلا
He
الأسبوع
was
الجاي.
that player who made
إن
the
شاء الله إن
decision
شاء الله.
to leave the Gaming Gladiators
تعال
line of
عشان
trust
تبرك
in this
المضربات.
new rebuild around Beck.
النية تدري وش كنت أسوي؟
From Gaming Gladiators, and he's showing
النية كنت ودي أبتل هذا أول يوم وبعدها أروح.
moment to prove himself.
أول يوم بيتا.
We saw it in map 1. He really rose to the occasion, getting
إيه
a lot of
هذاك
key
يوم إذا
entries,
عندك
and
secure
ultimately
booth.
taking this team to a new level.
Yeah, for Comics and Dipsy on the side of Nemesis, is this their first EWC or did they play last year? Because I know for a fact
صح إيه.
Beck played last year for Inner Circle. Raffin, you mentioned Gaming Gladiators, but for Dipsy and Comics, right? Their first EWC stage, is that true?
Yeah, it is their first EWC stage. Both of them failed to qualify, unfortunately, last year. Dipsy, I believe, was on the Anubis Gaming lineup previously, so he wasn't able to make it through. But Dipsy in the region is considered one of the strongest entries, so it's nice to see him finally make the stage. And for Comics, a really good debut himself as well.
Yeah, for sure. And on the opposite end, Dola, Shady, obviously here last year. For Carrot, Danny, and LDX, is this their first year? Maybe LDX played, but I can't remember.
I believe LDX has played before and
طبعا يا اخوان اللي ما يدري هذا اخر جيم في الجروب ستيجز وفالكون في اللوزر براكت فلازم فالكون يفوز على نيمسيس علشان يكمل في البلاي اوف يخسرون يطلعون برا من كروس فاير يبقى لهم وشو يبقى لهم فورتنايت سي اس جو والتراك
Yeah, quite exciting stuff here. You obviously have two teams who
لازم منهم يطلعون. احنا روسترهم والله ماش خسروا على طول من اول بداية.
As LDX gets settled in, so does Nemesis, as the game should be minutes away from taking place. Again, hopping into Ankara, Shady getting his teammates all on the same page, taking the notes, making sure everybody is ready to go with the game plan for sure. But just talking new members, it is an exciting prospect. You know, you've got a lot of new guard coming in this year for the Esports World Cup when it comes to Crossfire, because going back to last year was a very big deal. Bringing Crossfire to the Esports World Cup stage, exposing Crossfire to a totally new audience, but also bringing in new competitors, a new lifeline, if you will, to join the old guard. It's Falcons, it's Nemesis. Will Nemesis close it out, or a Falcons comeback? Let's find out on Ankara.
Thank you so much, guys, for that. As we do get LDX back in the roster here for Team Falcons, I'm most curious to see how does this affect the entire play of Team Falcons, not just the comparison
Falcons
of,
comeback
versus LDX and stuff like that, which we can also take a closer look at. I'm still Valdez, joined by Laz, and we are getting ready for map number 2. Nemesis looks great on Black Widow, but let's see what Ankara holds.
Fire now.
Yeah, it definitely begs the question a little bit about, you know, for Falcons, where they spent all that time having a conversation about, look, LDX, you got to come back and play. Like, I mean, we were talking about he was not going to play, and now he shows up. So it's an unfortunate position here for Fast, right? I mean, like, just being that substitute, and they lose their opening map, and then that's just going to blow a lot of confidence. But we'll have to see. Is LDX really going to be like the, you know, the secret little bit of a recipe into this for them to get back in a fighting fashion? I have no idea, but it just already kind of begs me the question of, like, Falcons are like that tilted or that upset about everything that they need to do this, where LDX clearly couldn't be able to play, but he gets called to the line, so we'll have to wait and see if that will be the difference maker or not.
يلعبون كاونتر سترايك.
already been preparing like in this lineup anyway, so I think they can go back to their regular game plan. I don't think this really creates too much of a commotion, really. I think it's going to be the same game plan they had originally going into this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for them, they can just play their game and not really.
حقين كاونتر أغنياء، أسلحتهم غالية، جوائزهم كثيرة.
بس خلاص
يلعب فيه النيكو تدري إنه 1,200,000.
انحرقت اللعبة.
And just have to see how it all does play out. Falcons taking it much slower here at the beginning of Ankara this first round.
عيني شغالة على العالم.
بس خلاص الشركة تعلن إفلاسها. هي كاونتر.
There's nobody else here. I mean, LDX did get that one kill on a Beck in the middle of the map. Dipsy, though, not going to hit this shot, and he's actually backing up into cover. Definitely a smart call. Just wait for the reinforcements to come in. As they're not even on the site, Comics is already going big with one shot. Alucard not able to hit his, but they're all stuck here on the ramp, and Alucard gets one, make it two. Danksy, the last one left available, is looking for the swing as they push out together. Alucard with the 3K here in this first round.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, that's a great play from Nemesis because you could even see
أعطاهم.
like you said, Rafa in the vent position gets that duel. He gets so much information. Everybody on that other site in A, they just rotate right away to B. They were able to get
الدمام
there.
والله يبي يستانسون.
He actually played that
أتمنى
very
حقوه
well.
صح.
Again, he only gets
ايبكس
one
ما راح
kill, but
يحطه،
you have
حطه
to
قبل
remember,
بس.
he falls back. He repositions himself,
حطوا
buys
بحرين
time,
خبر
and
وفاضي يا
gets the
رجال.
kill on
أول كنت
top of
أدخل
it.
أطول
So
على ما يدخل.
غير فاضي كانوا يشمعون فيه وهاكات وقلة حياة.
there. So Nemesis, they kind of baited them in, and Falcons fell right for it. So big
الراوند
opening
الأول
round
راح
for Nemesis. That's going to
لنمسيس.
feel really good considering they were ready to play and they had to wait a few extra minutes. So, you know, that's where sometimes those kind of situations can kind of tilt teams a little bit, but clearly Nemesis, like I said, laser focused right now. Doesn't seem like they're slowing down for the time being yet.
Yeah, looking good so far. Great play in that first round. And if you're Falcons, you got to get something going real quick. I mean, lots of flashes over the top here. Some nades as well. Nice little push. They're going to spot Dipsy. Push him back into the spawn. They do take him down as well. Dola picks up another. And just like that, easy entry onto the B site this
بس
time.
إذا جاء الكود ذا حطه ببليزرد ولا كيف؟
As now they're in the spawn. Raffin's not even looking the right way. And that's going to be a 5-for-0
تسألني أنا؟
pickings for Falcons in this round.
والله يا اسطى ما بعرفش يا
that
اسطى.
I'm still wondering as well is like let's not forget when
Oh,
yesterday where
تبي
Nemesis
يسوي لك
again,
invite
they played
الكود
Rock
next.
and that was I think you could debate
يا رجال
number
سووا
one
الناس
team in
واجد
Brazil.
كفايت كود
They
نكست
were
هم
able to get
ينزلون
a
محتوى عن
10-1
كود.
win on this map. So like I think all of us were shocked about that where Nemesis like were able to make it a 3-map affair but winning a map 10-1
تعرف أم كلثوم.
that doesn't happen a lot, right? So I mean that's a huge
ايش
factor.
دي طباخة
So
ذي ولا وش؟
I do wonder if Falcons actually did any sort of
خلنا
preparation
نعرف
to watch that game just to be like, okay, look, like
تدري إن ولدها مو باسمه كلثوم.
that's where I'm curious about it as well, just because
على مين؟
Nemesis, I mean, I'm
كلثوم.
sure they have a few
كذا
things in
لقب
store for this
أدري
map,
وش
but that is going to make you feel really good. And I hope that isn't like almost like overconfidence, if that makes sense, just because when you win a dominant game like that, you just don't want it to like fill the ego. Or
طيب يا عزيزي أنا
but we'll have to see. I don't really
سوف
get the impression
سوف
that.
أذهب إلى الصلاة.
It seems like they're kind of just going in. They know what they need to do, and we'll wait and see. But Falcons, thankfully, like you said, they had to get something done quick, and they do right there. They bounce it right
يلا يلا.
back, and that's probably something they absolutely needed, considering you know the mental is probably a little bit
10
of a
دقايق
rocky
وجهك ها.
ship right now.
Yeah, it definitely should be, but we'll see if they can right the ship themselves. As we have seen a lot of kind of aggro, I would call it, into the A side so far, but no real pushes just yet. This time, though, we have 5 people right outside A, and they are looking to stack here. There's a nade over the top. And we did see Raffin get some good information and pushing when he did go through the vents, but this time they're waiting for him, so looks like he's just gonna sit back and wait for the push to actually come through. A little bit of poking and prodding through the main door, and follow-up push there from Comics will get punished. And now it's just Raffin here. He gets one, but that's immediately traded out, and the A site is free right now. They can get a free plant for themselves.
Yeah, that's a really good play from Falcons. I love the way they just kind of baited that little bit of a one player just going through main like that. Then they could easily just double swing it, and then they were able to get that instant trade. Raffin just unfortunately put in a tough position, right? His teammate got spammed through that little bit of a wood pillar, and that made it way more problematic for him. But Falcons, really have been able to reinvent themselves very nicely here for map number 2, and they pretty much have themselves, like, I feel like a guaranteed next round in this favor, but unless Beck can do something crazy, we've seen a clutch from him before, but again, that timer is already well under halfway, and he'd have to be able to pop off right now, but Dola is going to get the better of him. And there we go. Falcons will get themselves back into a little bit of a winning fashion for the time being, but I don't know, maybe LDX really was kind of the magic little bit of a moment for these guys or something.
Yeah, I mean, he is definitely one of the key players of the roster, which is why we were so surprised when he was subbed out for such an important match. But you sub him out, you can sub him back in, as we did see here. And so far, he's been doing pretty well, and the difference it's had on the team's performance so far is definitely notable. We do see this time around Nemesis trying to challenge a little bit, as they have pushed into the A quarters.
Ooh, that's a good nade.
Ooh, Dipsy not ready for that shot. He's just taking pot shots through the box, and now the rest of the team tries to swing it. They do get a little bit traded back, but that's not what Nemesis were looking for. Nice little flick there from Beck, takes down LDX. But man advantage here. We do see that Falcons looking to push A, as Raffin's just not ready for it. Unfortunate timing for him. And they do make their way in. It's Alucard and Beck dropping down. The headshots are huge from Alucard as he sits them down, picks up another round here for Nemesis.
I was just going to say, like, I thought, Alucard, I thought he was going to kind of tuck in the corner a little bit and just try to burn a little bit of time. But I was like, okay, he's going to drop down right here. This is where I thought, oh, he's going to hide. And he's like, no, actually, I'm going to do one better. I'm going to bring out the USP, and I'm just going to absolutely out-duel everybody in my path. So, whew, okay. And that's where, Kyle really talked about it, right? Where Alucard, again, can be such a playmaker on this roster. And that's a great example of it right there. And then where he's just able to, again, just kind of puff the chest, show who's boss a little bit. And, I mean, now Nemesis are still within this game, and they don't get phased by Falcons as of yet. But Falcons now, they're going to have to figure out what they want to do. Carrot does find that opening duel, takes down Calmix. So now gives the man advantage, and that's been something that was a little bit lackluster for Falcons in the second half of Black Widow, but now they've been able to find a little bit of opening duels, but a good response from Alucard. Now this is where they need to be careful. Don't overextend this, because you only have one player locking in and anchoring that A site.
LDX, nice little peek, wins the 1v1 over at the big door there. And now Dipsy just kind of push into them. He gets taken down. So one by one, they try to re-peek and get some trade backs, but it's not going the way of Nemesis. It's now Raffin and LDX have just missed each other over here. And we'll see how this does eventuate. LDX is like, huh, nobody's here. And, I mean, there are only 2 guys left. And here comes Raffin, gonna catch them in rotation. He's not looking the right way. He's still got to kill somehow. And now Alucard's going to be shot in the back as he's trying to get position. And Falcons kind of weird to win a weird one there.
Yeah, I know, and it's funny because I think Raffin, like you could see, he saw the player way down and long, and he's like, okay, they're already going towards A. He thought he could maybe just cut right in the middle. He thought that, and then you see him bunny hopping, and he looks, he's like, oh my goodness, there's 2 guys right there too? It's so unfortunate, because if he would have actually cleared that properly, again, there could have been a multi-kill conversation. Falcons were not ready for that at all. Like, they never would have expected it, because like you said, him and LDX kind of went past each other a little bit. But now Falcons going to get the wings flapping a little bit here. They're going to start to go a little bit more aggressive. Alucard does get the opening duel, but it takes a lot of HP away. Now he's just trying to tuck away. He's just trying to survive as much as he can. And it's a quick scope right there to take it down. The snipers get full activation here from Nemesis side. And Falcons, the wings get clipped a little bit on this. And now they are starting to just not being able to fly. They cannot soar. And Nemesis respond back with 4 alive.
Yeah, that really comes down to Alucard holding down the site essentially by himself. Really insane stuff. Really nice flick on the initial aggression, and then just gets behind the box just barely and is able to get that quick scope. So that's 2 kills for a guy who's barely staying alive and holding down the site by himself. That's a bit of heroics from him. Easily could have looked different, where they'd take down Alucard, take the site immediately, and, you're looking at a rough retake for the side of Nemesis. So good stuff from Alucard. He's really popping off right now. I mean, this guy, if he's playing well with the amount of talent they have on this roster, you got to like what they can pull off. But once again, it kind of feels like Black Widow, where it's a bit of back and forth. I suppose that round was a bit more one-sided for Nemesis, but that can sometimes just happen from GR. I think that Falcons are definitely still in this one, as it does look like maybe a bit of a push here onto A, but no full committal just yet.
Yeah, it looks like Falcons are kind of getting ready for the full X or A exec, maybe potentially on this. I mean, still have a minute and 30 remaining, and they don't have to just go for it right away. They're going to throw a little bit of utility in middle. Again, just try to buy in somebody, and that's Alucard, actually. So, again, he's got a bit of a distraction. You can see on the mini-map, he looks like he's kind of just spotting things out. But right now for Nemesis, this is a great stack, because typically it's only been the two. Raffin, unfortunately, blind as a bat, can't be able to find anybody. Now Dipsy tries to get some action, but look at that. Shady just being able to find himself that double piece. And now Falcons, despite the number advantage that was here for Nemesis, it just seems like that firepower is way too strong and gets overwhelmed here on the defense. And nothing can be able to have a reaction here from Nemesis. And Falcons do a great job with a pretty basic exec, and they just take care of business.
Yeah, really fantastic stuff from them. And again, it's back and forth and back and forth at the beginning of the Blacklist side for Falcons. Now, as long as they can maintain this composure, move over to global risk, and maintain their form, maybe we get a bit of a series here. I was a doubter, obviously, coming in around number 2, but they have done a fantastic job here of sticking in it. Falcons, there is so much on the line for this team, as we will get into in just a moment. But we do have some flashes coming in, reading the push. This is a 3-man push right now from Falcons. Danksy gets one, but I think man advantage here for the side of Nemesis. It's a bit like pulling teeth, as they do take 2 of them down. But the slow rotation is coming in from mid. I think it's a little bit late, as the fight has already gone down. The one thing is that Nemesis don't really know where the last couple of guys are, so they have the bomb down on the site, and they say, well, let's try to hold our position for now.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of the guessing game, right? And this is where you want to decide, do you want to make a play, or do you want to just kind of tuck in the site? It looks like, you know, Dipsy, look at that. He investigates, and he's able to solve the case pretty quickly. Now Carrot by himself, he's just trying to make a bit of a play. Will not happen. So that, like you said, the back and forth affair will continue. Nothing is going to change there, but it's a good way for Alucard again. Like, he is just putting up massive amount of impact in this game alone, and that's something I'm glad that Kyle brought up, because we talk about Alucard all the time in the West League, but this is a map where I don't know what it is, but it's just like Alucard, or you see this map, you just think of Alucard. Like, he is now putting himself up at 12-5. Like, look at his team. His teammates don't even have the same amount of kills to even match up to this. And now, Nemesis, they decide to get even more ultra-aggressive. They decide, you know what, look, let's just outduel these guys. We're clearly in the heads. They're kind of overextending this push a little bit.
That was crazy.
If he can go quick enough, he might be able to get this big flank. He might be able to find a Badola perfect on the Spidey senses, and now realizes, okay, they're trying to crunch us.
Yeah, it was a good crunch, but not hitting the shots. And I think, yes, definitely very over-aggressive, as Raffin was like, well, I ran out of bullets. Time to just peek him with my pistol here. And now they know where Beck is. They know the angle he's coming in from. Nice pop-up, though. Gets the one. And a very close situation now in the 1v1 here. Bomb down as well. I think Beck could try to reposition on it. But actually, he's just going to back away entirely and say, all right, Dola, you do whatever you want to do. I will be ready a little bit later when you eventually make your push.
Honestly, I don't even mind this too, because again, this is where, you know, yeah, Beck has to kind of, you know, make a bit of a guess, but at the same breath, like, that's where Dola also, like, you still have well over a minute. It was a minute and 25 since this 1v1 has started. So for Beck, like, look what he's doing. He's clearing so much information, and he's just like, okay, I'm just going to make sure everything's cleared up. I can just get myself in a way better position. Like, Dola, it's really more of a guessing game here, because now he's kind of like, I don't know where to take this, you know, this bomb. Do I want to go A? Do I want to go B? And look at Beck. He has completely ran around the whole map, essentially, and he's been able to grab so much information. Now he realizes, okay, Dola is leaning towards this B site, so now I can just kind of get myself in the right position. Is Dola going to expect this? I don't know, but this has been really good work from Beck. I love the fact that he's just been able to try to look for as much information as possible. Now realizing, okay, bomb's already picked up. Dola does have himself in a good position, burns that smoke, and he only has an HE remaining here for the last piece of utility.
Yeah, really the only issue with this is that you do give Dola the plant, but retaking this 1v1, that's totally fine. We'll see if Beck can manage it, because here comes Dola on the peak, but Beck is going to get the 1v1 win. Will pick up a big defuse, and Nemesis going into the half. They do maintain a lead here, as it's 5-4 to the side of Nemesis. They are desperately looking to move on to the next stage here in Group B to face off against Baisha Gaming. Oof, it's not going to be an easy path for either of these teams that do make it in. But yeah, this is the replay, very close. 14 health. Beck does eventually win it. But guys, there is so much on the line for the side of Falcons. I mean, it is so close in terms of the club championship points. Our desk was already talking about it. Look at this. Team Falcons are ahead right now in AGAL, but only by 100 points, and they desperately need to hold on to Ankara. They're doing a great job so far. They're going to tie it up with this one. But yeah, it's really between Team Falcons and AGAL. They're fighting tooth and nail to win the club championship. Nobody really else can catch up to them. And I mean, AGAL, they're qualified for the top 8, right? Whereas Team Falcons are trying to barely win against Team Nemesis.
Yeah, and that's where it's a good point you bring up, right? And again, the desk was really, emphasizing this, is that if we see Nemesis taking down Falcons, like, those are a lot of points that are taken away from Falcons. So that is where that pressure is so high. Like, Nemesis, they have the pressure that they want to prove something, but Falcons are the ones that are, the championship points and the club points. Like, that's the biggest thing. Like, there's a bigger picture here. So that's where it makes a world of a difference. So this is where that game, we talk about pressure. It's definitely on the Falcon side, without a question.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much going on. I mean, there's swapping players mid-series. They desperately need some more points. They need to keep up with AGAL. But right now, they need to keep up with Nemesis one step at a time for them. Alucard's stuck in outside of A, and it's just all Nemesis all the time right now, as Falcons can't even get out into the opening here. Carrot, nice little angle, but Alucard is still not cleared out. They finally do get him. Carrot gets another one. And all of a sudden, it's a 1v1, but I don't think there's enough time. I mean, Raffin, he can play clock.
1v1.
Dola doesn't really have any health. Dola just going to tap bomb, and there's just no way for him to even get that kill and get the defuse. So it was all going to go the way of Nemesis, and now they're only 4 rounds away from knocking Team
الله حرام حتى ما جاب ولا لو على الأقل 250 نقطة.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing. Like, that's where it's so exciting, right? When we get to these last remaining week, it's just, there's so much at stake. And like you said, Falcons are just barely holding on. So that's where now, again, like, them being down a round and they're down a map, let's not forget that. That's where the Falcons are going to have to do something big. And Shady's the one that's been able to make some good plays. LDX can only find the 1 kill. That bulldozer of Nemesis, they just keep on moving. They are not stopping. It looks like they're not even going to slow down at all. The brakes are not even existent right now. But Falcons do put up a little bit of a wall here. So now Nemesis have to recollect their thoughts and see what they want to do a little bit differently. And it's a 2-on-3. You have Alucard alive, you have Raffin still with some utility. A big swing here from the players, they get wounded badly. Alucard still has an opportunity, but Carrot from the top ground is going to be able to save them a little bit. And now we're back to a tie game, just like that. The ping pong match.
Round the bronze.
Yeah, and I do think that Falcons, they're just barely holding on. This one looks a lot better after the swap. Obviously on Black Widow, we did see that Nemesis, they swapped sides, they went to Blacklist, and it was essentially map over from there. Like, there was a little bit of a comeback for Falcons later on, but to me that just felt like kind of the last remaining bits and pieces they had left, and it was going to be Nemesis's map from there. So very close one. Falcons desperate at this point, as we've really hammered home at this point in time. Bit of a mid-push from the side of Team Nemesis. They do want to go straight up the middle. But Carrot's been on point in the last couple of rounds, and he's the one that's actually holding that angle, so doesn't look like they will go straight into his crosshair this time, probably for the best. Only issue being, of course, that Falcons have 3 people on A. So a nice little defense for them set up on this spot.
Yeah, they keep going against Shady. Like, Shady's the one player to me that I feel like on the Falcons team, like, he's the one putting up the big impact. I mean, I know Carrot's been able to do some stuff as well, but I mean, he's top frag and he's really definitely put up a really good shield. So now it seems like Nemesis are going to try to do it again, a little bit stubborn. They want to see what they can be able to find. Danksy, I don't even know why you commit to that fight. Like, it just seems so ridiculous, but it goes against them. So now that advantage, it disappears. Now Nemesis have a conversation here. They have themselves still well within a minute. They don't even have to rush this plant. They could even decide to go, you know, they could leave if they want to. They could just try to go for the duel potentially. LDX is close on by, but they will go for this plant. LDX goes for a swing. Alucard, a bit exposed on that one. And now leaving it down to Raffin here on the 1-on-2. This is going to be asking a lot. And he's trying to find this. Oh, that timing is ridiculous, Valdez.
Yeah, he almost got double swang. Double swung?
Double swung.
The swang came out. Raffin here on the flank, and he just has no idea where they are. He gets the one, and the defuse, he's just sticking it. And he will pick it up. Seventh round here for Falcons as they get back in the lead. Such a close round that was. Raffin trying to pull off the heroics, but it is LDX, the last-minute sub that comes in and secures the round.
Yeah, it's just so unfortunate because that's such a tough position, right? Again, I'm just curious about, you know, that C4 placement, because if it would have been a little bit different, yeah, he could have probably been able to pick him apart there, but it was already that defuse as well halfway through. So really good communication from Falcons, just saying, look, stick it. You have to stick it. Like, that is
شكلنا بنشوف في جيم ثالث.
Close on by, but whew, what a way to get it. I don't think we had a ninja defuse yet. I think that's our first one, if I'm not mistaken. I think we've had a couple attempts, but none that have actually worked out yet. I like it.
Yep, nothing like that. Now Dola picks up the kill in the air duct. We have the flash coming in, but LDX is waiting. They had a double stack here, and Nemesis kind of just runs straight into it. And that's going to be the end of that. Dipsy, a little bit of a desperate repeat, trying to get the...
والله حس الريكويل هنا مليون.
It's not going to happen. And now we have Alucard trying to do
كيف
some
يده
solo
كيف
heroics.
ترجع
He's
ورا.
going to go underneath, and he runs straight in LDX, wins that fight. And now the snipe not going to get carrot. And Alucard is all alone here in the 1v3. Will pick up this plant, but it is not looking easy for him.
No, and this is where he has to make a play, right? He can't just sit back. He has to be able to find a kill quickly.
صعبة يجيبها.
But look at Falcons. They're kind of playing this a little bit weird. I was thinking they were playing a little bit split apart from each other, but nonetheless, they do a good job to like kind of regroup right at the last second there. So the timeout's going to get called, like you said, from Nemesis. So now we're talking about an 8-6 scoreline, and I don't think we've had Falcons have a lead like this at all. It was actually Nemesis. They were the ones where we were talking in the second half of the first map where it was becoming 2, 3, 4 rounds. We're like, okay, hang on. Like, this lead is really growing. So this is the first time Falcons have been able to have themselves a decent position on the scoreline. So now Nemesis going to call their first official TAC timeout. They didn't have to use it the first time on map number 1. They use it here and now, kind of just, again, allow Coach Kevin to be able to talk things through, because it feels like Nemesis are not, you know, losing rounds in a unconvincing way. Like, it still seems to be a bit grindy where it's down like 2v2s or like a 1v2, 1v3 maybe. So it's not terrible, but there is just some mistakes happening. And I don't know if I agree with these A hits anymore. Like, I think that Shady is doing a great job being an anchor. Like, I think it's one of those things where you go, look, avoid it. Like, you have to get away from Shady. Don't let him get in these positions to frag you guys out. Put him in those retake positions, because that's when they've been able to succeed, right? Yes, Carrot has been a problem too, but I definitely feel like Shady is to me the MVP on the Falcon squad in this entire series so far.
Yeah, he definitely is, and I think they tried to do a little bit over outside the office, but there was a double stack there actually, just sitting in the smoke. Love this close up of Raffin. Very, very serious in the moment, and obviously, you know, we talk about the club championship and what it means to Falcons to try to continue on there, but for Team Nemesis, subjectively, they would love to just get this 2-0 and not even have to deal with that final map and just move on, prep for Baisha.
لا.
And yeah, move on. But Falcons are making this very difficult for them in the 8-6 situation. This is the most rounds they have gotten, tied for their 8-10 loss against Na'Vi in the first best of 3, or in the first best of 3 they played. That was on Black Widow. As okay, just gonna swing directly through mid, straight into Alucard. Dipsy are waiting. A couple of headshots for Dipsy. They're gonna make quick work of that one. And the attack pause is working out so far. It's nearly flawless from Nemesis as they stop that aggression in its tracks.
Look, this is the thing that I absolutely love, right? Like, when we get to see teams like call the attack timeout, and like when they go into that next following round after the attack and they win it like that, that's a flawless round where I think only one player
انهم فايزين جيم
only took a little bit of damage. So like, they came in, Coach Kevin said, do this. Like, we are not doing this plan to what we need to do, and look at how easy they make, you know, work out of it. So Love the fact that we get to see that, where a team just utilizes their attack, and it looks like, again, Nemesis just get a bit of, breathing room, and they can just play their game.
Yeah, and there was a lot of action outside of A, so Nemesis say, well, we can probably just push into B. They got to clear out LDX, though, on the back of this. Okay, it's just going to be a 1-for-1, not bad. And Nemesis, they say, well, there's not a lot of defense around the middle of the map, and Falcons get aggressive once again, but not in the right spot. As this plant is coming down pretty late. The wraparound has already come in from the side of Falcons. And he just goes up and goes for the kill. And now swinging into 2 is Comics. He's going to go down.
I don't understand why they did that. Like, they had the smoke in place, and Alucard, I thought he was intentionally going for the wide open plant so that they could just make sure they can go for it. But it's not a bad position that they go for this plant, but man, okay. Look, it still works out. Now we're back to an equal footing of a 2-2, but now this is where, again, Alucard's getting caught here. His heels are just getting tapped away. And Rapin needs to be able to find something this rifle. He's just trying to spam, but he's running out of bullets. This is getting a little bit dangerous. And both these Falcon players go for the swing, and they utilize the numbers. And now Falcons have put themselves on a map point against Nemesis to stay alive potentially in this series.
It's crazy what a story this is for Falcons.
أنا ودي يلفون كان ودي أشوف في جمهور ولا لا.
Even potentially win this series with the hero resub of LDX. I mean, obviously, it's not their series just yet, but 9-7 makes you think they're looking good here on Ankara to bring us to new compound for the decider. As we saw multiple moments there for Team Nemesis that weren't very solid. I do think they are kind of falling apart at the seams here a little bit as it gets to the end of this map. But let's see if they can try to pull this one back. Might just be a 10-7 the opposite way, though, if Falcons can hold on. And you talked about pushing into Shady. Shady is not holding A at the moment, although we do have the re-rotation coming in here, actually. Shady just going to hold spawn, and they do have 3 people on A at the moment. But no committal just yet from the side of Team Nemesis. Do they just go right down the middle of the map once again?
They're really starting to hesitate a little bit, you can see, right? Because now they're just trying to throw some nades, see if they can do any sort of damage.
الحين ما في ولا first blood.
But I don't mind this play because, again, they haven't really done something like this yet. So they have the lineups. You can see Dipsy and Alucard getting ready to throw the utility. Yeah, Shady is close on by. He's going to get some information. You can see him just absolutely communicating. And now he's just trying to tap away. He gets removed. So now Rapin being able to find the first opening duel. That might create a little bit of an opening here. And actually, Comics, unfortunately, gets timinged. And Beck able to find that instant trade. Alucard! Are you kidding
يا ساتر ما شاء الله يعني عندهم رياكشنات في اللعبة هذه.
And Alucard still hunting for more, playing that top position. But let's not forget, these guys are wounded on Nemesis right now.
Yeah, they definitely are. And Carrot here on the sniper, not the best position for him. Maybe he's got to pull out that pistol. As Dola pushing up, he's spotted Dipsy, but Dipsy goes big. Gets that headshot and keeps this interesting. Carrot, he's going to get the 1, but the triple swing. Nice timing there from Team Nemesis. They know exactly where he is. They handle it very nicely.
الكيبورد هذا كيف حاطه مستقيم.
And now they're 1 away from bringing us into extra
شكل
rounds.
طولي.
Yeah, that was a really good little bit of teamwork again from Nemesis. Again, we've been critiquing a lot of these teams where they're just doing these like random one-man pushes and just making 1v1s when they shouldn't. But like Nemesis were like, nope, everybody swing same time right there. That's a perfect replay. You just get to see them just again swing at the same time. There's no way he's going to be able to win that. So now, like you said, 1 round of a differential.
والله ولا شيء قاعد اتابع جيمهم ذولا لما يخلصون وبعد بشوف الجيم شو اسمه المقطع لا اللي نزلوه المقطع هذا نتابع سوا وبعدها فورتنايت.
We'll see if it can be able to burn more here as they just need this last round to push things over the edge for an overtime.
والله فالكونز يمكن يرجعون ترى متقدمين الحين. يمكن يكون في جيم فصال. والله بحاجة النقاط على الأقل لو يطلعون 250 نقطة أو 100 نقطة.
They do have the 3 people on B. As we can see at this moment, office is being cleared out for the moment.
لين ما يتأهلون. تأهل.
إيه أنا أقول لك نبيهم يتأهلون يعني فهمت.
Making Falcons sweat. Oh, Carrot misses that one. Dipsy lurking in the middle of the map. He gets the 1, and now he's pushing. LDX is underneath here, kind of isolated. He's going for
السنة اللي راحت من فاز بالكروس فاير؟
timing. Does Raffin gonna get one? That's 2 for 0. Make it 3 as they open up the B side. Dipsy gets a ton of damage on a Shady. This is looking rough for Falcons. I don't know if they can pull out a win here. They're looking like it's gonna go to extra time. As he's right there, right next to each other, and Raffin somehow wins it.
وينه؟
health gets taken out.
حامل اللقب وين أشوف؟
And we are going to extra rounds.
I want to just see Rapid's face. You can just see he's kind of like, whoo, boy, okay. He was so blind. You could tell he wanted
تعادل
to
الحين
play. He's like,
نمسيس
hey, I'm going to just try to
وفالكون.
find a strangler. I'm going to see if I can get the timing. That flash lands right in front of him. Like the pin hits his tooth, and then the guy's right in front of him. He's like, whoa, okay, peekaboo, there you are.
Peekaboo.
Yeah, great work from Nemesis being able to bring this thing back. I mean, it was a big Falcons now. Another mental hurdle that they have to go through. They had this lead, and now they kind of again let it slip through their fingers, and we're at a little bit of a reset. Now we get to see Falcons being back on the blacklist side, and you get to see Nemesis. They're going to try to get really aggressive. They want to try to make a bit of a statement here in this opening round in the overtime. And now Falcons are going to just try to get some hotel control. They're going to try to fight for some map control as much as they can. But it's all for naught. Look at what we're seeing from Nemesis. They already have the repositions already commencing, so they are just actively on their feet.
Yeah, Nemesis feel like they're the ones that have the momentum right now. They're just playing a little bit better. Crossfire, and when I say a little bit, I mean it's so close between these two teams. And Dipsy's not going to hit that shot. He's here on the sniper. Comics underneath, not going to get it. Danksy, nice on
لا نايس بوش من فالكون. حشروهم خلاص باقي الأخير. الله شفت كيف ستاك.
They must be sweating, trying desperately to force a third map.
شوف أنت كيف يتراكضون.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate too because again, Dipsy is one of those players. He absolutely is a perfect hybrid player. Like he's one of those guys.
الحين يرجعون نيمسيس ويجيبون الراوند وكذا راوند براوند من بداية الجيم.
He's not feeling one, he's going to do the other. Unfortunately, there he missed 2 shots.
لا أنا أقصد الجيم ده.
It was tough though. Falcons did a great job just kind of evading those bullets, but that just allowed them to get so much control, and then that just overwhelmed him and Comics, and that's where everything just started timbering down right away. So now Falcons right back into 10th round for them. They get the in this overtime. We'll see if they want to make work of it. And now the nades galore. It is a full execute. Raffin again blind. He can't seem to find
حلوة فيس كلهم بس تريدات على السريع. حلوة. من أول يا فالكون اللعب ذا ليش مطولينها؟
Leaving it just down to Beck and Alucard, the two guys that have been able to put up
وتغير لعبهم.
so far in this series are tasked with a difficult 2v4.
Yeah, a bit of spam to start just
وين سيف يا رجال خشون بوجهه.
But not able to get any kills just yet. Beck trying to go through the flash seems to be pretty good.
حلوة.
Just too many numbers here for Falcons on top of the
الفوز من كم؟
and they do hold it on with a nice little crossfire on top of that one.
12.
Falcons really being pushed to their limits here, but looking fantastic on the attacker side of Blacklist. And yeah, just too many angles here. You can't clear out that entire side like that.
No, definitely not. Like you said, the BL side definitely seems to be a really good, little bit of a side here for the Falcons team.
ما أتوقع. فلاشات الدنيا وفرقات. أوه عطوا أول بانك شفت كيف خرم له.
Overextend this, and then this is where they started losing their players. This is a really good call from them. They already lose Comics. They're like, you know what? No, let's not do it. They're probably going to rush towards B. This is when they should almost just instantly be rotating. I'm surprised they're taking as long as they are, but they are starting to make a move on here. Falcons are still being a little bit hyper aware. They're trying to be cautious. And now this is actually given some time here for Nemesis to get into this site.
Yeah, I mean, they get in a little bit. At least there's some smoke in their faces. That is
يا
a big
ولد يا
flash.
ولد
Stola
جنب
gonna
بعض.
help out his buddy
ما يدري
Danksy
عنه.
there on the corner, and Danksy just
حلوة.
seen the entire way. 3 rounds in a row from Blacklist. And Falcons, they look good to force a third map.
أو 15 راوند.
And yeah, I think that smoke in their face, and Nemesis just wanting to get onto the site as fast as they possibly could. They don't check all the boxes as they were having to deal with Dolan.
Go.
Distraction for Danksy.
Fortnite صار عليهم.
Surprise from Nemesis' sake, like they're not really playing anybody on bridge. They're not really playing anybody heavily in hotel. Like they're just giving it up. They're allowing that control to be available for Falcons for free. So this is something where I'm seeing a bit of a gap. Now they've done this stack. And I mean, I get it. They've lost B 2 times in a row, but I mean, again, do you think Falcons are going to try to go for it for a third time? I mean,
عليكم السلام ورحمة. ايش رايك في الأداء؟ والله أدائهم مش ولا بد صراحة.
Now Nemesis back in the position where they need to just climb themselves back into this. They have to get 3 rounds in a row. And that's where we talk about golden round. And so we've already seen one West team do it. Maybe we see it again.
Yeah, I mean, anything is possible. This has been such a close Ankara. I would not be surprised to see it flip after the half of extra rounds, of course.
يا أخي المفروض من الأساس ما يروحون اللوزر. الحين ترى هذه آخر فرصة لهم. يخسرون باي باي.
Nemesis running straight into them potentially. We do have Alucard who's going to pick up the bomb, and here comes the slow push. So let's see how much utility they throw in here, because Dola's looking right here, and he's got the hot hand right now. As the flashes do come in, Dola not really cleared out.
أنا ما أهتم بالنيمسيس بالنهاية، ما أشجع نيمسيس أنا. أنا ما أهتم بالنيمسيس، أنا أهتم والله صراحة الفالكون، لأن الحين نقاط الكلوب تشامبيون مهمة. عكس يعني ايج جلوبال يا ابوي مبدع، شق الدنيا، شق 2-0 2-0 2-0 خلاص تأهل. ما أنا ذاك النقاط كم الفرق؟ 300 نقطة هم 1100 وذولاك كم؟ فالكون 1400 فرق 300 نقطة. ويجي جلوبال مشاركين بجميع الألعاب الأسبوع هذا ما عدا سياس جو. وروستراتهم جيدة والله في كل الألعاب إلا فورتنايت، والله صراحة ما أدري. يعني روسترهم بهاللعبة ذي كروس فاير قوي مرة.
Decides to go right in the middle of this. And now Carrot's going to drop down, and now Comics realizes and he has to hit the perfect shot, and he gets caught, and Falcons will be able to find themselves into a third map series, and it ain't over yet. Nemesis cannot get it done to close this thing out with a 2-0.
الفوز من 13. أجل ليش المعلق يقول 3 more maps؟ حلو ماب ثالث بيكون فيه. بدعوا آخر 4 راوندات أو 5 راوندات كان لعبهم كويس. إن شاء الله نشوف المستوى هذا في الجيم الثالث. طيب نشوف المقطع على السريع. يلا بسم الله. طيب الحين راح نشوف التريلر حق MW4. وين هذا؟ هو بسم الله. حلو. سنايبر خلاط M4. كنا الصوت شوي ناقص، نرفع الصوت شوي. اوه في قطار يمشي في نص الماب.
هذا الماب يقولون بالهند.
شوف رايت شيلد. يا عيني يا سلايد اللي وراه. الشتقن القوي ذا. يا ساتر هذا بيخرب اللعبة الشتقن ذا. شفت لي كيل اللي قبل شوي. والدرون تمشي معك. وش تعزز لك هذه الدرون حلوة ذي. ديم. عليكم السلام والرحمة. حيو فاصل. شوف اخذ رايت الشيلد من الارض يا عيني ثبت امه اي. وش ده هذا دقيقة هذا وش هو؟ هذا جقرنت؟ انا نرجع نشوف. لا والله ما ادري صراحة. لا والله جقر. والله شكل الشداقم بتصير قوية هي ولا انشرات او متفجرات بشكل عام. يعني من التريلر نفسه قاعد اشوف الشداقم مرة قوية. هذه وش دي؟ شكل الستريك الغريب ذا. او هذا الماب اللي يقولون يتغير كل راوند. فكرة حلوة دي صراحة. نشوف البيتا كيف تكون. هذا شفنا هذا هذا اللي انا متحمس له صراحة. اتمنى يكون نفس المزرعة الماب ذا. شوف النيوك. ثبت النيوك. اوب والله عطاهم.
في صوت يبتك في صوت.
اتوقع انك ممكن تتكلم مرتين على الاغلب. والله ديم. والله متحمس لها صراحة. لاني انا مشغلك مرتين عندي في من الاوديو نفسه وهذا الثاني. ديم.
Now imagine an entire city being built to supercharge it. Kadir City, powered by play.
هذول جيمهم بيبدأ ولا نشوف فورتنايت؟
Falcons and Nemesis now moving to map number 3. It comes down to this. Win, you move forward to play against Baisha. Lose, you are out of the tournament. Your key is crushed, and you're sit packing home. Now, when we think about Nemesis, they played
هذا ما شاء الله عليه الكاستر هذا في كل مكان. تبي كروس فاير، كود، فورت، كله بتاع كله.
I still view that as a great performance against a high caliber team such
اللي الحين قاعد يعلم.
performance by any means, and historically this is a great map for the West League teams they're going into. So looking at a
انا
player like
نستك
Falcons
الظاهر
who's been
او
playing
كاستر
confidently
والله ما
all
ادري
throughout this
وش
series, I
قصته
still
في اللعبة
think they
دي.
have a really good chance of taking this one away.
What about Falcons though on new
اللي بكروس فاير.
How are we thinking their chances are going to be with the star-studded roster that they have?
I think they're going to have a fight chance. I wouldn't say it's really, them leading the charge
ماني
and
من
getting all the
متابعين
wins
صراحة
for new
كروس فاير.
compound,
بس
right? Because
الجيم هذا
basically it's
يعني
the map
حاسم
to
مرة فهمت.
stop one of those faster teams from doing so. It's a lot more cutthroat when it comes to duels and
أوديكم على
it's a lot
فورت
more, let's say,
أجل.
GR side, which is going to be a big advantage here because Rapin has been doing really well on the GR side as well as Alucard. It just has to be the other members stepping up to the plate because if it's only those two, they're going to be in trouble because there's two sides on the map.
100%. This
لا
is
بدأ
a
جيمهم.
really defensive-sided map, and I think that's where
بدأت
Nemesis is
أغير
going to shine here in this series. They
على طول.
haven't been quite as strong when it comes to their attacks here. They're a little bit more hesitant than what we've seen from Falcons, so I feel like Compound is the perfect map for them to have a little bit more stability. And then on the BL side, it's also a map where you can play a little bit more loose. You don't have to have those defined structures like some teams would need in this situation.
We know Shady's going to perform well, as we said. Nice to see Dola stepping it up.
Take your time.
That was the main focal point
Take
for
your
Team
time.
Nemesis. Is he still going to be a focal point going into new compound?
I feel like he's definitely going to be a focal point, especially knowing how important he is when it comes to defense, when it comes to the having that occasional aggression at that time, and especially when it comes to new compound, especially in the container mid fights, you're going to need to do that from time to time to keep the enemy on their toes.
I'm feeling Falcons here, Kyle. What about you?
I feel like Nemesis has this. They've got the firepower on their team. They've looked a little bit more consistent, I would say, throughout this entire series, and I think they'll take it away.
All right, Nemesis or Falcons, who do you got out there in the chat? Either way, it's up to them to decide who moves forward, who gets their key crushed. It comes down to a game 3 in our final series of the day. We head into new compound. It's Falcons versus Nemesis.
Thank you so much, guys, for that breakdown. And, you know, don't ask me that question. I have no idea who's going to win this map. It could easily be Falcons. It could easily be Nemesis. I think that it really just comes down to who's got the better play. Nice little boost here. Shady looking for an angle right down the middle, but not going to see too much pressure in there from the side of Nemesis. But yeah, I don't know. It's rough. Would have looked slightly better for Nemesis, and Car looked slightly better for Falcons. I mean, you could say that with the addition of LDX coming in, they look like a better team, and maybe they have that momentum behind them after winning map 2, but new compound, a totally different situation.
Yeah, it really is, right? And now it's just being that reset, just like one map remaining, and it's like, you know, to just really emphasize this is like, look, loser is going to get their key crushed, and that's it. So we'll have to see. Now, I do agree with Kyle. I'm leaning on Nemesis still, like if I had to pick a team, but Falcons, you know, the fact that we're able to persevere through that, we'll have to wait and see. Now the execute's coming in. Nemesis, they're not going to mess around. They're going to go through this B site. He's trying his best, but he can't seem to find one. And look at that. Nemesis are able to just sweep the floor. They get themselves in this site, winning duel after duel. Now leaving it down to LDX by himself on a 1-on-3. And there's still utility available, so Raven actually could re-smoke this. So LDX has to find the perfect timing to slip through this before getting seen.
الأوفرلي خربان حقهم.
Of course, to retake the B site by yourself through smoke against 3, but nice try from LDX.
فرد الأول راح للنمسيس. سويش البشة ذي الله يباع الكل حقه دخل عليهم كذا بين 4.
Also, Falcons had a pretty good setup on the B site. I don't feel like they weren't ready for that push. Just came down to a really nice entry here from the side of Nemesis, and you can see that Falcons trying to get ahead of this push this time. They move heavily into pillars. This is something we see pretty often from our global risk side teams, just to try to, you know,
قاعد تشوف فور تقول لك Crossfire.
لا Crossfire الجيم الأخير يا حبيبي.
And try to get a sense of where they're pushing. As we can see, though, Nemesis have read this pressure, and they're looking to push into A at the moment, as a lot of flashes are coming out here. Push is a bit delayed, but they're still going to make their way onto the site. Couple of kills come in, and Alucard's just winning by himself in mid. He's taking everybody down by himself. And now it's just LDX and Danksy, but they are late to the party, as the plant doesn't even, it's not even necessary. Nemesis, very strong second round on top of it.
Yeah, that was such a weird round, right? I mean, I was kind of looking a little bit awkward. I was thinking Nemesis, they got spotted along A. I was thinking maybe they were going to pull back on it, but they decide, no, let's just commit to it. And with the new update, obviously, on this map, there is that little bit of a
was that aquatic?
You can still spam some nades through and some flashes, so you can see Beck was just trying to get everything in there. And yeah, Falcons, I think they were caught a little bit exposed, so that flash actually lands really, really well. And now Nemesis, again, just taking a 2-round lead.
ليش انت ما والله المفروض انك مقدم على كوست ستريم بتيت كود لكن يلا
This boost from Shady, is it actually going to pan out? It
السنة الجاية إن شاء الله.
Gets a good opening duel. Now they can pull back. This is exactly what you need to do. Now this is going to put Nemesis way more in a position where they have to figure out how do they get back in the driving seat.
Yeah, like Comics' reaction, he's like, wait, is that a guy on like, is he there on the yeah, he is. Shady also a little bit delayed on the reaction, but gets him on the re-peak, so if it works, it works. And yeah, it's going to be a good start, but LDX is going to lose the 1v1 versus Beck. And that gives another opportunity here to the side of Nemesis. You really don't want to fall behind.
ما شفت الراوند الأول كيف دخلوا كذا تدخل إنما إيه إنما إيه.
That's where we see the success come from the Blacklist side if they're going to have it. Or just, you know, Alucard go kill and get 2 kills in mid. That works too. They are going to push now 4v4 in towards the B sites. Nice little setup so far, though, from the side of Falcons as Dipsy just tries to force his way in early. It does not work, and the rest of the push will come in. Carrot isolated but not taken down for too long as Danksy gets value. Beck is sniping big time on the top here as Alucard kind of missing him, and that is going to be Kara picking up 2 in the servers. It gets very, very close as Beck looking for the 1v1 here. He's been good on the sniper so far. He's hiding behind the pipes, behind the railing here. He's just going to hold the angle. He says, I got 30 seconds, and right as I say that, he goes off the angle. But he is going to pick up the bomb and plant it.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, like, Beck is definitely somebody that could be a really strong sniper player, too. So you don't get to see it very often, but when he does, like, when he's feeling it, he's feeling it. So now he gets this plant, buys him a bit more time, and now puts a lot more pressure for Shady to have to make the play. And again, this is a tough one because Beck's been able to put up some good numbers. Shady has been able to have himself really good performances. Beck, oh, that position, he misses the shot, gets another chance at this. He's just throwing as much utility as possible, but Shady actually comes in with the pistol. And again, I kind of question that from Beck because he knew he was close. I feel like the pistol would have been better to go for that, but again, you're going split-second decision-making, so he thought he could get the better of it. But Falcons, they get around, but man, it goes right down to the wire for a 1v1.
Yeah, it might have just come down to the fact that Beck was definitely feeling the snipes in that round, right? I think he got 2 or 3 in that round alone, just on the sniper, on the attack. So good stuff. And speaking on the attack, that's 2 kills to Dipsy with the pistol. Dola gets taken down in the end, and they know where Carrot is. He's in the corner. Beck dealing with LDX. He's not going to win that fight. And I mean, they've been able to group up, actually, the 2 of them here as they do move over towards B. LDX has it all to do as the plant already comes down. Very nice early timing from Alucard, but a nice push in already from LDX through the smoke. As he's not going to hit that shot.
ماني قاعد اهوجس قاعد امنتج.
Here in the servers, hoping that Alucard peeks him. But Alucard, all he's got to do essentially is hide and allow Dipsy to come in and
حيو
go
زنده.
for the double peek. But LDX pushes
يا زندك ايش صار معكم في ال
And now all of a sudden, there it is! He peeks him when they had only 20
Brian.
or 15 seconds on the bomb, and LDX, huge clutch for him.
That was so unnecessary, and I don't know why. I mean, Alucard, again, he was playing the position of just like, I'll be the distraction. You need to sit back. Let us just see what happens. And as soon as Alucard went down, Dipsy should never have been peeking. He knew that he had to go for the defuse. He could have at least buyed like a little couple extra seconds, but yeah, that's just a bit of a misplay. This is, yeah, just really bad timing. And he even had the best spot because they played
الحين كيف في يوم اول تصفيات ماني فاهم انا صراحة.
I think the nerves just got a little bit better for
شو عم
Dipsy there.
بيصير؟
He just wanted to get frag hungry, but that's where, again, these mistakes are starting to happen. Carrot now, he gets activated. He's able to find himself a great opener. And now Falcons, they are just sweeping the floor right now, and Nemesis are the trash, and they're going in the bag.
I do feel like Nemesis are playing more aggro than they need to. I think even that push through the smoke there, if you run into the hot hands of Dola, you will be shut down, and that's exactly what we saw there. Falcons, 2 big rounds in a row.
الله كفو عليكم. كم في يوم تصفيات؟
Even just the manner in which they did it is huge. 1 big clutch from LDX. Taking advantage of some of the mistakes, as you were talking about there, Laz, but also a nice call, the follow-up, you know, just to rush into mid and take them down as they are pushing. So now let's see what Nemesis have in the tank, because it was a great start for them from Blacklist side. I do think that they really had something going, but maybe getting a bit antsy in the 2 follow-up rounds. Nice little flash here, the timing great on the entry as they go for a fast push straight into B, and they're just tapping them. Beautiful stuff. Dola and LDX at least got some back, but they're already on the B site here.
Yeah, things are getting loud here in the arena. I love it. So now 3-on-2 advantage. Nemesis are going to get this plant, leaving it just for Dola and Carrot now, the last 2 remaining players. We'll have to see what they're going to be able to do with this. Again, they have 1 PC utility each. Beck might be able to find the timing of this, and he does. Perfectly done. So now Dola, even more of a tough task, and you can see he's kind of wondering, hey, like, do I need to go through main? Do I need to clear things out? Beck is doing such a great job of being a nuisance. He's just being that itch, and Dola can't seem to figure out how to get rid of this little bit of an itch right now, and Beck should be able to get it done, and indeed he does. So Nemesis, bring it back in. The back and forth affair continues. Nothing has changed as we got to map 3.
Yeah, again, don't ask me to predict who's going to win this. I'd rather be surprised at this point. Both these teams are playing really to the top-notch level. And, yeah, very nicely done by Beck. to handle that situation. It was already going to be a hard situation for Falcons, even if it was just a 2-on-2, but back in that middle position, they just couldn't root him out. They could not figure out a way to handle it. And so Nemesis back on the board. I mean, if you hit 4 or 5 rounds from Blacklist, you're feeling pretty good. I mean,
الله
Nemesis
يوفقكم
moving
يا
over to
زبدة.
GR with a
إن شاء الله
lead.
نشوفكم الأول
I
بإذن
think you
الله.
gotta like their chances as long as they can actually get there.
بس ما في أحد فيكم يفك بث نشجعكم
Let's see.
نشوفكم
Blacklist side has looked good so far.
نسوي لكم واتش
They
بارتي.
move into pillars. They move into mid. And this time it's actually Falcons. A bit of a stack in B main. And then you've got 2 just holding
يا أخي
down
بادية
Yeah, a little bit of a 3-2 setup that we can see. So now Nemesis, again, they have this mid control. You do have Carrot that's actually, again, just got that good position where he should be able to get some bit of a spot, get some information at least. Smoke's going to land in front, so good utility right now. Allows Nemesis to cross over into mid. But now it's a question about getting these flashes at the right time. Dola's fully exposed in this fight, and now he's getting caught on the heels, and there we go. Now Danksy, is he actually going to recommit to it? And he does. He's able to find some sort of a trade, but now is he going to get overwhelmed by the numbers? Not at all, but it's going back and forth in terms of the duels. Now Comics trying to see if he can be able to find another opener. These guys are just waiting patiently, but again, they have just under that minute
والله
remaining.
جيم يا ولد على الأعصاب.
Is welcome. That B site is for free. Now do Nemesis have that information? Do they realize, can we just go to B? Carrot's trying to fight on the top, heaven in position. It's a free plant. Now this is going to be problematic here for Falcons to get back into this bomb site and get things back into an order of winning.
Problematic.
Yeah, really not a good spot here for Falcons. This is going to be difficult. 2v3, trying to retake the B site.
بس الثواني أحس إنها توقف.
Carrot goes all the way through the mid tower. He's like, we're not getting flanked by Beck again, especially because he's dead. Or alive, rather. Beck here on the site in the corner, actually. And it's just going to be playing point man. See how they
أنت لاحظت الشيء ذا؟
cover that, but the flash comes in, they check the corner, and they're right there. It's Comics and Alucard put 1 and 1 together, and that is now the lead given back over to Team Nemesis 4-3.
Yeah, I love it too. You can see that Kevin, he's like, he's got his hand up, he's got his finger up. He's like, look, boys, we need one more at least. I need you guys to be able to find something to push this thing so we can get ourselves a great start in this first half. So slowly and surely, Nemesis have been able to bring themselves back into a lead. Well, that's the question. How long can they do it? Is it a long-term thing? Is it a short-term thing? I have absolutely no idea. That's why we're not the analysts. These guys have been able to break it down very well. And this has been such a tough game to break down just because both these teams evenly matched. And now we have to see, in terms of round number 8, Falcons, look at how fast they're rotating on this already. They have the full read, and Nemesis, they don't necessarily have to commit to this. They get that duel. They're kind of still sitting around waiting. Falcons have now been able to reposition, double in B, 1 in GR spawn, leaving 1 singular person in A. And they're trying to buy some time. They're trying to catch these guys on this little bit of a the rotates. And if they can find one more kill, that's when they're going to go. That's when they see the green light. That's when they want to go for it. And they're not going to hesitate anymore. They're going to start barreling in. The shot's made. Carrot misses, but there's the rifles. They find the activation. Dola saves the day. And there we go. Falcons are able to bounce on back. And we are going to the last round of this first half.
Yeah, absolutely. That was going to be a difficult take for sure, just based on the way that Falcons had holed themselves up there in the B site. There are just way too many corners to check. You can't flash everyone. And yeah, just reading the position of Nemesis, feeling the pressure of the push, they get into position to stop it. And once again, we go back and forth. If Falcons win this round, I'd say, advantage nobody. Like, from there, really just have to see how Falcons can play from Blacklist side. The Blacklist side on Ankara looks great with LDX in the lineup. And now pushing on in, Comics shooting his teammates, but that's okay. As he puts his head on straight once again. Dipsy goes in a little bit early, and once again, they're in position here on the B site. This is not an easy push to go for, and they will back off.
This is good. Yeah, I'm glad that they're making this decision. Like, this is where I was getting worried that they're like, nope, we have to do it. We're already making a lot of noise. We're already trying to do something. But no, they're going to just reset this. They have lots of time. You still got a minute and 30. And Falcons have put a lot of investment of bodies into that B site. I mean, rightfully so. They've lost it countless times, right? So this is where, again, they have to kind of go for that little bit of a gamble. But now you have triple player into mid. But you do have the player that is going to be Alucard. He is in tower. And again, I was wondering if we were going to see a player kind of swing this, and now Danksy's going to be able to find onto Comics. I think he's got that intel that he saw the double player, so at least now we can see Nemesis are aware, but Shady, he's able to find himself a duel. Now they have to find a little bit more. Beck realizes he was going to push the remain, he's going to go through top, and he actually just frag it out. And now this is just ridiculous. This seems like a bit of a DM session. Alucard by himself has been able to at least spot one player. He's got that bomb, but again, he's got 50 seconds he can work with. It's a 50-50 coin toss on this one, right? You have one player in A, you have one player in B, and it's all about landing the shot here. He spots Carrot, but he can easily just retreat this.
Yeah, Alucard has time. 30 seconds. As you mentioned, just try to take one of the 1v1s and then go for the plant. But Carrot in position, and this is difficult for Alucard to really root him out and make sure he can find him before he goes for this plant. As there it is, he tries to go for the window as the site is not fully cleared out, and Alucard looks upset with himself about that one. I mean, it's a difficult situation. Yeah. I think there's really not much you can do in that one. We don't really have too many notes. Maybe he could have gone slightly faster, but either way.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, really nothing you can say. Well played from Carrot. Gets the timing there of jumping through, and yes, Falcons go up to 5. And as I said, again, I still can't call it from here.
Nope. Me neither. Yeah, it's not convincing, right? I mean, yeah, Falcons have got themselves a couple rounds in a row, but it's not like, again, it's not like a big lead. It's not like it's really been the determining factor in this entire series, right? Both these teams have proven they can go toe-to-toe. Dipsy realizing, okay, yeah, nope, I'm going to pull back. I don't want to do that anymore. He gets a little bit of a quick little teaser, and thankfully his life is still intact too. And now Falcons, tiny little bit of damage against them. Rapid trying to go for a bit of a peek by himself. Ooh, he's trying to time this because he saw the utility flying. Not bad at all. And he does find himself that second. Gets himself a little bit of revenge. And look at that. Nemesis are just loading up. The kill feed is just showing blue. And now it's all just Falcons here with, what is that, 1 HP? I was going to say, he doesn't have a whole lot to work with, and he's going to be gone. Nemesis respond back in the same fashion we've seen from the last 2 maps. They will never give up, and they will never surrender.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy from Raffin just holding the door by himself, and you could see, the utility flies, and he knows exactly how he can pre-fire to stop the push, and we know how good his spray control is and his ability to rifle. He's like one of the best that we have, and he is he just goes huge in that moment. So good on him for essentially stopping the push by himself. Good follow-up from the team. And I do like how Nemesis are saying, you guys just aren't allowed to take pillars. We're going to push in here. We're going to get in there aggressively. This time, Raffin wants to push once again over on a long, and he does get shut down by Dola.
Yeah, now being down the player, this is where Nemesis, again, you have to make a decision of, do you just want to maintain this position where you see Comics and also for Dipsy, or do you want to kind of go back into the very hard defensive setup? But I don't mind the fact they're playing this because, again, Falcons might not expect this. They might not expect that aggression, but it's a little risky, right? I mean, that you're kind of essentially rolling the dice in some degree, and Comics absolutely needs to find this kill, and he does. So he's been able to equalize now. How do Nemesis want to respond to this? Because they can either pull back or they can commit, and it does seem like they want to just go back to a defensive setup. A little bit of a switcheroo on the guns. Danksy gets aggressive by himself. I don't know what he was thinking. He thought maybe he could get the timing of it. So now Falcons. Woo! Wow, Carrot is just dodging bullets and even catches one in the kneecap, but he still is able to prevail. Man, oh man, this is just a wild round.
Yeah, and now Dipsy gonna try to get revenge here, but Dola, good idea on the swing, but Dipsy just shuts them both down. And Dipsy has been a bit of a wild card. This time he rolls big as he does get 2 of the kills. Now Shady by himself. Nice headshot. Gonna make this a 1v2. And still a bit of time for him to rotate out. Unfortunately, though, with that amount of time that he has, I think this might be a bit obvious where he goes. 20 seconds left. And yeah, slowly but surely Nemesis get the feeling that, hey, he has rotated over towards A. Of course, they're gonna wait for the plant here. And once that comes in, they will move out. Still advantage to Team Nemesis here in the 2v1. Very common spot for Shady to play up in the window. Let's see if they try to double swing it, as he's going to get ahead of it, but Beck does shut it down, and he is looking in the right direction. That's 2 in a row now for Team Nemesis.
Wow, and that's really good. I'm glad you bring that up, because it's like, look, they could just double swing this, or they could easily put one on the top, one on the bottom, and if they would have done that split, Shady would have been in a great position. That would have been a power position, in my opinion. So honestly, the fact that they did commit the double swing like that, that was perfect, because Shady was in such a strong post-plant position. But man, oh man, this game is absolutely, this series is delivered. I mean, this is the thing. Like, you look at these score lines, and yeah, they paint somewhat of a picture, but if you've been able to watch this whole thing, like, you can just tell that, like, it's not been convincing, to say the least. Like, this has been a grindy best of 3, right? And this is where it just definitely feels like it's going toe-to-toe, and both these teams are just throwing everything they have at it. So you absolutely love to see it. And like you talked about, winner of this matchup is going to go against Baisha, which is not going to be an easy feat. So, whoo, that's a lot. That's a tough pill to swallow.
Oh, nice shot here from Alucard, and he gets away. 4 health is enough for a sniper, as he'll try to maintain that spot. Comics has gone back to the snipe. He's not going to get the quick scope, and a nade takes out Alucard, so apparently not enough HP. LDX shuts down Comics, and now Raffin trying to get in quickly, but they're already rooted up here with a lot of smoke. Beck, though, able to get one out in B main, going to make this a bit more interesting, as you're going to try to have the quick rotation coming in here, but already a lot of time lost. As let's see what this push looks like. We do have Shady. They're all looking at this B main as Beck, I think he's dead, and so is Dipsy. Raffin now alone gets one. Too much to do, not enough time, as Dola will shut him down after the 2 kills. Brings it to 6 and 6.
Yeah, that's the thing about this map, right? I mean, I am glad that there was that update again, where there's these extra little like corridors where you can like throw some utility and everything to get into that B site. But again, I still think, I don't know if the desk will agree, but I still think that's probably the hardest site to retake on, like in Crossfire, in my opinion. I feel it's so difficult once that plant comes through. Like, you don't have a ton of room to work with. It's really about like landing that flash as best as you can, and then just trying to swing on out of that, you know, really tight choke point. So nonetheless, like, Falcons do a great job on the post plant. They just play their positions well, despite Raffin's efforts of getting 2. So, you know, I don't even like saying we're back in a tie game, but we are. Like, it's just you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, lead, no lead, lead and tie. It's just like, what a crazy game. But you know, again, I can't stress it enough. It's been really impressive to see Nemesis from last year at EWC to what they've been able to do here and now. Like, this is such a difference of what they were able to do. Last time I think they went 0-2. They weren't really able to find too much success. Now, I mean, you're going toe-to-toe. You went toe-to-toe with the best Brazilian team. You're going toe-to-toe with the best, like, Vietnamese team. Like, that you know, the CFBL team, right? So that's what's really exciting. So they've proven a lot.
Yeah, they absolutely have. I think that's for sure. I do think that
Falcons,
so much for them to do, and you can feel the pressure of an entire organization on their shoulders, just watching Crossfire, desperate for them to get the victory, just to pull across the line and try to win the club championship, which we have gone over many a time. As now they push in onto the B site. It looks like one guy isolated here. They're going to take him down. Comics also taken out in spawn. And that's the B site essentially for free. A bit of damage as Raffin's like, I'm going to make quick work of this. Nice snipe from Alucard, but it's traded back immediately. And now 2v4. This is not an easy take. They run through the smoke and they go down. Falcons take the lead. And it feels like a little bit of momentum going their way now.
Yeah, I think Falcons are starting to get a good read on this. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure both these teams, maybe just Nemesis, I think they've already burned their timeout. So I was going to say this would have been a good moment for them to... Oh, just kidding. I'm wrong.
You're technically right. Yeah, they did burn it.
Yeah,
now.
Okay, they did burn it now. But I was going to say, I think this really is a good opportunity, because I think now Kevin, you can see the coach right here. I would hope he's saying, look, B site, it's giving up too easy. Like, we have to be able to find some way to lock this down better. Our setups are not quite what they need to be, because the retakes, again, very difficult to do. But Falcons have been able to just really just soar through that site, and honestly pretty convincingly. Like, it almost feels like it's not too much of a challenge. So I do hope there's some sort of a change, whether they want to play aggressive in mid, try to set the pace a little bit differently, or you push through B main, or even just as simple as you change maybe a player in that site or just add a player, right? I think there's many options they have to do here, but Falcons seem to just be playing the same track over and over again. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I'm agreeing with that.
Yeah, I'm always a big fan of if you find a weakness, just
exploit it.
Yeah,
you got to
keep pressing that button. You know, like, hey, we're getting wins. Oh, let's do that again. And yeah, I know there's definitely a lot more tactics that go into it and reverse psychology and, you know, trying to catch them off guard and bring in new strategies and not just do the same thing. But if there's a clear weakness and you see the enemy is not dealing with it well, you know, worst case scenario, you get attack pause like this in this situation, and maybe you don't get it later. So this was the setup. I mean, there's really nothing you can do about trying to take the B site there. And as you said, I think you can't respond after the fact. You kind of have to prevent it from even happening.
Yeah.
You have to stop them from getting onto the B site first, and then you can handle that situation better.
Yeah, exactly. No, I completely agree. So this is what we'll have to see, but Nemesis, don't listen to us yet, so we'll see. They switched it up. Could be a ruse. Things could change. Maybe, I mean, again, like maybe they're thinking like, okay, surely they're not gonna just keep abusing this site, right? Like they're gonna mix it up. Like they gotta try something else. Like you don't want the same meal over and over again. Right? So maybe that was the thought process. But I actually do like this because again, you have a double player in GR spawn. Falcons, yes, they got this mid control. A little bit of an issue right now for the defensive Nemesis, but look at the two players here. They might be able to find this because Comics, again, he's playing an aggressive position. Rifle out, he's ready for the duel. And now he tucks away a little bit. And this is where, again, maybe he's thinking, okay, the smoke's going to dissipate. I need to play a little bit differently. Now you can see, like, Dipsy, he's getting overwhelmed by nades. And now the triple player setup, that little bit of a triangle. Can they hold on? That's the thing. And now Beck, he's going to get overwhelmed by the numbers. And again, that swing is just unfortunate. But there you go. Comics finds the two. Can he make it a third? Dipsy's trying everything, but it's just Falcons being able to prevail, just winning every single duel in the path. And now only two needed, and they've got themselves alive, and they continue on.
That is a gigantic round to continue your momentum. The tack pause does nothing. As you were mentioning it, the setup there, they're at least able to get some early kills as the push is coming in, but it just feels like they're not respecting this B push just yet. They have not found a good answer to it. Now they're going to try to get aggressive and get ahead of it. Again, this is some way to prevent it, but it's a bit of a risk as well because they're going very aggressive here. They push in mid to pillars. And this is what they were doing early on, taking pillars control and moving from there. I liked it, but they have certainly moved away from that strategy, which we have talked about quite a lot. And so Falcons, they just wait for the pressure, and I think they'll go for a later push and say, you know, you can't just hold pillars forever, and maybe we just go B again. So let's see what they decide to eventually go for here.
Yeah, and both teams actually throwing smokes at the exact same time, so it's going to actually block off mid just a little bit longer here too. But look at Falcons grouped up. And I mean, the four of them together for long A, they're going to be able to find Alucard. That is just such a duel. You cannot give up. And unfortunately, he was not expecting to see that many numbers. Now Nemesis, can they hold on? Can that defense do something? Dipsy gets overwhelmed from behind and now gets backstabbed. But look at that. The rifles still singing a little bit of a lullaby. This thing is still open for a 2v2. Carrot now by himself. Arguably one of the strongest players on this Falcons team in a clutch situation with the C4 in hand. And now Nemesis, two alive. They have themselves a site, but Carrot has lots of time that he can work with to find some kind of space and maybe for Nemesis to make a mistake.
Carrot, sometimes he comes up big. He's been a real steady player for them. They need this right now. If they could get to 9-6, I think Falcons can close it out. But if this goes 8-7, still anybody's map. And with the C4 in hand, he will go all the way over to B. And I feel like that's going to be a nice spot for him to try to hold it. He does have, I believe, a smoke in hand. So there is a way for him to get the free plant into throwing up a smoke and trying to desperately hold on here in the 1v2. As he's going to plant here in this corner. And let's see how he is going to defend here in servers.
Oh, it is just a flash.
It's a flash.
Oh, and he's actually going to swing this. Oh my goodness, he goes for the fight too. That confidence. He knows he can outduel them, and now Colmix is able to land the shot mid-air. The guy that's been quiet, somebody that hasn't been able to put up the biggest numbers from this team. The young guy, the new guy, he is able to pull up a clutch, and that lifeline is still a little bit intact here for Nemesis. And Falcons, they are going to be kicking themselves in that kind of a situation. Carrot almost felt like he had it convincingly. But man, oh man, this thing in
انا ودي اعرف الفصال هذا اللي بينهم هذا حق ايش؟
Yeah, still anybody's map, as I said.
وش
Look at this shot.
وش موقع في العراق؟
I mean, he knows he's posted up in that corner, right? So he can just hold that line, but still, super clutch from him. As we do have Raffin real close, right up against the boxes, just going to be spammed down. Has a little bit of support.
Oh my goodness.
And Beck goes down. He's able to get away. So a bit of a one-for-one trade, has the slight health advantage. And I feel like this is going to favor Nemesis just a little bit from the GR side, but let's see how it is going to go. But yeah, Carrot was so close to just getting them across the line and just pulling so much weight and relief off of the shoulders of this team. Stola going to take down Raff, and he was the weaker member. Looks like he peaked somewhere in mid and went down to Dola, who was in the tower. So that's advantage now to Falcons once again.
Dipsy's actually got himself the TRG as well. So this is a little bit of that switch up I talked about where he likes to be that hybrid player. This is where he's getting a little aggressive, but he's going to have to be careful. And actually he misses that shot, but will able to be the rebound. It does escape. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. Dola's so close. This is the nade. I thought he meant to throw that in A main, but maybe not. But now you can see Colmix is trying to go for a bit of a duel. Ooh,
والله عطاه
واحدة
بالماجنوم.
but now Danksy's trying to do something big, but oh no, Dipsy! Oh, he just lets it fly away. And Colmix now in another clutch situation.
I can't believe that. He just, I mean, Danksy's running in with a smoke grenade and he still wins the fight. Colmix. There's been so much pressure on this guy, and he's not going to be able to do it this time. He's done enough, guys, for the squad. You can't expect him to do that 1v2.
هذا حط مخدة وراه.
One round away from moving on and facing off against Baisha Gaming. You can feel the relief beginning to release, but it's not done yet. They need one more round to finish it off, to cap it off, and move on to the next day and keep their hopes alive in this tournament, in the club championship.
هذاك ما يتحرك.
I mean, that body language, like from Nemesis, it looks really tense. Like these guys are looking stressed now, and I mean, rightfully so. You have the match and series points against you. You had yourself in that position where you should have been able to close out on Ankara. So now they have to figure out how do you find 2 rounds and kind of reset this in the overtime situation. So they are going to go back to this 3-2 setup. They're going to play a very passive mid, so they're kind of allowing that to be in control somewhat. Dipsy is going to still commit to the TRG, so he's going to still decide to go with it. He doesn't want to rifle this. They think that they can use that range in their best efforts. And now Falcons right back to the old faithful, back to the B, and Dipsy's kind of holding a weird angle. Dipsy needs to get out of there. I don't know what that angle is, but at least he gets the utility. He can reset a little bit. Falcons, they have to make a decision. Do you stay or do you go?
Yeah, I think Dipsy was just peeking through the window and just wanted to play off the utility and try to get away for info. And he does get away. He takes a little bit of damage. Here they come through the smoke as Danksy pretty good on the entry, and Dola and Shady are right behind him. And now Shady in position, takes down Beck. They will take down Alucard, and the Falcons will move on to the next round as they keep their hopes alive, hanging on by a thread. The hero resub of LDX gets himself back into the roster, and they win 2 maps in a row.
Yeah, a great amount of work from Falcons, and that is like the reverse sweep, right? This is where Nemesis were able to get the first map win. Really close affair on that second map, but unfortunately, Falcons just again showcasing a little bit of their experience as this roster, and again, the CFBL team, the #1 team, just being able to be the clutch factor and survive this mode. And like we said, the championship points are still a reality here for the Team Falcons as a whole, so that's going to feel really good. A sigh of relief for these guys, absolutely. But Nemesis, unfortunately, with this loss means that it will be the end of their tournament life, and that key will be crushed.
Yeah, fantastic showing, as you mentioned. I mean, they're not going to feel good about it, obviously, but for us on the commentator's booth, they put up a nice fight, but a nice fight is not enough to move on. So many strong teams in this tournament, and Team Falcons barely get across the line with that reverse sweep. And I don't know how they're feeling now because, you know, subbing in and then subbing out and winning, but it being like pulling teeth where, you know, that's enough stress to
حلو 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 بعد على الجيم
there's enough pressure to crush a key. They keep their key alive, but now it's just barely. Like, you're barely getting across the line against Team Nemesis, the second seed from West. And then you have to face Baisha Gabin, who is a powerhouse from CFPL. It is not going to be easy, but maybe they can begin with their tournament run now from the lower bracket. We've seen it many esports here at EWC, even just making a lower bracket run. And with so much on the line for Team Falcons, maybe they do it.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to be honest. Like, I'm not overly convinced. Like, when you're playing a team like Baisha, like you're playing one of those strong teams, right? So I mean, that's going to be a tough task. But look, we could talk about this all day, but there's a lot of things that are more important right now. It is going to that stage. It is talking about the key crushing and everything. So let's.
He does have good mats. Good mats there. He's got that med kit. He can play that as well.
Mashallah,
Really good. So he can play this game out. He can hold on to it, and you do need that in these LAN environments. These solo clutches become so important. Malabuka, Vico, a time to have a sip of water. They're inside of that top three right now. They're trying to resurge up the top of the standings, of course, as well. Nosif down there in the feed. Peterbot Poya still maintaining this high ground, using that overdrive effect as well. They're using that pad as well. We've seen this happen so many times here,
هذا ولا الموفينج
all of these late game zones. And this is how they're winning. They're maintaining all of those materials. They don't need to go down for those refreshes. They're able to hold on to hybrid easily.
What's really nice about it is they figured it out after those two very rough games. They're like, wait a second, we're doing something wrong. And that's the little adjustment in the strategy. Well, here's someone that can't adjust much further. It's Romero. He's completely out of extra heals to shield with. Unless he goes down into the river, there's no other way for him to recover it other than getting an elimination here. But even that's very dangerous.
وهذا نفس الاستيج اللي يلعبوا فيه وارزون صح؟
He just wants to keep a low profile and stay front side of zone. Meanwhile, Izzy also in a clutch situation. Remember, came into this, he was in 9th place.
Huge moment for Izzy. If any time to do it is the time, it is now. Shark though, huge beam right there onto Vico. He's not letting anyone play up in the air right there. We saw Malabuka up there too. Malabuka now down on below, but looking very weak indeed. Peterbot Poya going to have to settle for that low ground. Shark and Tini are the team that are wanting to hold on to that high ground position. Malabuka, Vico having to expend a lot of those heals, but look at their material count when they go to their POV. So much materials there for them.
There it is, that elim that we were talking about. Romero actually gets one, and now he can even think about going for it, but no. Instead, he gets targeted there. Off to the side, he's just clutching up big points here. This is how you fight to maintain your place on that standing there. Romero doing a really good job. MCal behind the wall here. Romero doesn't quite land a shot, but hey, he's still in a tournament.
He's got no heals though. He has to try and solo clutch this as much as he can, squeeze out as many of those placement points as he can, as all other players around the block go down. Romero does fall right there to the hands of Vico, who takes that front side of zone. From the skies to the ground. They are looking to take this low ground and take the game for themselves.
It's really good right here. 4 eliminations. We're on the ultimate end zones now. Just 2 zones left here. And from the high ground, it's Shark and Tini, the dominant duo of the evening so far. It's been going back and forth. The conversation, the focus has shifted from team. And then you have Muzz and Sphinx rising up from the depths themselves.
كم العمر المسموح
interview that we were looking for, but first he's got to fight his way through Vico. It's not looking too good for Muzz down low as Shark and Tini are putting that extra pressure.
They saw Peterbot and Poya go back to back earlier. They said we want some of that action. Shark doing exactly what he does best, spraying on down, holding the rest of the lobby down. Of course, that bridge is going to play spoiler for everyone down below, of course, as well. So going to be really difficult to get anywhere near that high ground. Malibuca no builds back a zone. There's Vico finding another elimination. That's their 7th of the game. A huge amount of materials now as well to claim that front side of zone. It's a 2v2.
Shark and Tini have lost.
شوف هالصغير ذا يا ولد والله يا ان داخل عليهم بالخلاط خلط خلاط اللي وشه استهدي معه خلاط سولت.
It's all about Vico Malibuca down low. They've already recovered this game. Shark and Tini have been flying sky high. Can they close on down right now though? They're collapsing on through. Shark hitting huge shots.
والله طلع لهم برا الزون.
Malibuca's the last piece of the puzzle. Can he find the shot to close it out? Of course he can. They go back to back.
My gosh,
ولا أي ردة فعل يا رجل.
The decision to shoot the down body, secure the siphon. Now you can play the storm a
يدي
little
نظرة في
bit
الماوس.
longer. And just like that, it went from wait a second, this is looking scary, to give me a second here, Teeny. I got this.
That's what makes this team so good. That's what we've got to look out for.
Look at the fans. Look at the fans.
They're in disbelief, as am I. I don't know how they keep doing this.
شوف الجمهور
in
كلهم.
particular, remember he was going down a lot in those games. They recovered their game there as well. The ability in those end games to make those quick fire decisions. That's what separates some of our best teams from some of the teams that are fighting for that top 7.
Just reading the lips of some of the players we've seen on camera now. Muzz and Sphinx truly animated for a second there. But we continue to keep the focus on the top of the standings. Well, take a look, guys. Feel it for yourselves. Here's that play I was talking about. Boom, there it is. He's in the game. There's no pressure at this point now as he's got the huge lead.
هم متصدرين في النقاط الحين. كم معهم نقطة؟ وين الاي دبليو سي؟
We got a nice. That was better than
بس
last
في اللي
time. We got
دبرت
a
شوفه
nice.
قبل شوي.
Improvements. They're excited. They're ramping up towards these finals. I think realistically now that really secures their spot here into Saturday's finals. And they're definitely going to be a team to be a force to be reckoned with, a team to take a look out for, because even those final few moments you highlighted it, the ability, the understanding, that forward thinking from Shark to not go for the second player, to find that knock body first, to keep himself alive inside that storm via that siphon. That's what separates these best teams from the rest. And I want to talk about Romero there as well. What a solo clutch. Didn't make it into the later stages of that end game. But when you're a team from a smaller region, Brazil, you don't typically see them performing at the very top. So much of that pressure would have been on his shoulders right there. When Liwa goes down, you think, oh, is this the downfall? Is this the time they crumble? But they stepped up to the plate there.
My gosh, the resiliency that exists amongst the Brazil duos is impressive and admirable to say the least. And again, you see it there, Romero just doing everything in his power to secure those elims and get that win. And even now, you know, we kind of have this moment here to really kind of take it all in. Here's a team that, again, coming in from NA West, Phoenix and Retro, fell so early there. You know, we've been giving them this platform. They had that opportunity to really show us, you know, what they're capable of, and then just came up slightly short.
Well, they won, didn't they? They got that win. Things were looking so good for them. Things were on the up, and it just became difficult for them throughout the rest of the day. So they've dropped outside, of course, of that top 7 a while ago. They haven't been able to claw their way back in. For them right now, it's just going to try and stay in the lobby, stay in contention for it, of course, as well. So I want to hear from a couple of our players. It's Vico Malibuca with Zeke.
Thank you guys. We are here.
كيف محتواي قاعد يضر
we just had this fantastic game. And so I'm sorry, you were saying something right to me before, right before we cut here. What were you saying?
You can clearly see like the 3 best teams in like Reload right now. You know, Shark and Tini first. You know, Pete and Pollo in 3rd, us in 2nd. I think like you can clearly tell. You know.
It's a little bit of a lead, just a little bit of a lead. Mally, do you agree with that? Do you feel like we have the 3 best teams in Reload? We know who they are. It's what he just called out.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's right. There's just no one else. Maybe there's like Sky and Skrull, but we'll see tomorrow with this room.
If they did make it through tomorrow, do you feel like Sky and Skrull will be a problem for you guys in finals? Or is it kind of just like, we're going to keep doing our thing, and if they get in our way, we'll take them out?
yeah, we're just gonna keep doing our thing, and then like I don't think they will be doing that good that they're doing Battle Royale, because Reload is really kills dependent, and they don't really get that many kills, so I think we'll be fine.
Talk to me about those final few moments against Sharkantini. Well, how does it feel to go against one of those other teams that in your mind is, hey, this is the top 3, to fight them? Is there nerves? Is there kind of a moment where you like, talk to me about like the mental thing, like what's going up here?
I didn't even realize it was them. I'm gonna be honest. I thought it was just some like, I don't know, decent team. I mean, we had no mats, like really no mats on low ground, so I don't know. If we had mats, I think we win that. They didn't play that too well, but yeah, I'm not. Didn't know that was them until the end.
Does that shift your perception then, or your, I guess, reality? If you did know that was them, would you play any differently?
Honestly, I did not hear what Vico said, because
he basically said he didn't know it was them. He didn't know that it was them. If you knew that it was Sharkantini, does that change how you play?
Nah, it was kind of unwinnable because we had nothing on low ground.
Okay, well, guys, of course, best of luck. A few more games here. Stay in the top 10, or top 7, rather. We want to make sure we see you guys.
Gravity Claw, bro, come on.
Classic, classic. With that being said, we're going to take a little bit of a break here. Stay tuned, though. More EWC action after this.
We were there. For every click, every clutch, every respawn. We were there for the years of grind. And we're here. Now. The proud founding partner of EWC. Powering the biggest event in gaming. Shoulder to shoulder with the world's best. Making history. Greatness deserves a stage. Lenovo Legion. Reach your impossible.
Welcome to the side of stage at the Qiddiya City Grid, where I am joined by the superfans from Team Falcons. How are we feeling? That's right. I'm joined here by Faisal. Faisal, talk to me about where you've traveled from. Where have you traveled from to be here today?
So I came here today from Saudi Arabia all the way from Riyadh just to support our Team Falcons. Today we are playing Fortnite, so I hope the best for the boys.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, you've got arguably 2 of the best players in the game. You've got Poyo and you've got Peterbot teaming up right here on the main stage. It started quite slow today, but now they're picking up pace. What's the experience been like watching them?
Yeah, they did start slow, but we're believing in them. They are now getting back-to-back matches, so I hope the best for the boys, and we're gonna see you in finals, I hope.
Yeah, they're putting up a serious amount of points right now, but before I let you go, obviously to enjoy these games, if you could send a message to the boys on stage, what would you like to say to them? Words of encouragement.
Yeah, guys, we're here supporting you. We're here cheering for you. We're gonna be here also on finals. I hope the best for you, and we're gonna lift that trophy together.
Faisal, thank you so much for joining me in this interview. Who's going to win? Team Falcons going to win? Yeah!
Barney trying his hardest there to get the fucking crowd hyped up. And they should be hyped up regardless, because that team has been performing well. Another team that's been performing well, Aurora. Remember, Aurora is in that club championship. Sharkantini currently just performing. And don't forget that if you are a content creator, go sign up to the Esports Foundation Creator Program. You can live stream, just share this awesome stuff with your community, and you might be able to win surprises. Some of them being a PlayStation, will be a spa trip for 2. I kind of want the trip for 2, especially since we're currently doing duos. Scan that QR code right there. Make sure you guys go join the Esports Foundation program and see what you can do as a content creator. But let's talk about this last match. Levin, we've been talking about this top teams just continuing on the momentum. Is anybody going to be able to slow them down? And Sharkins is like, we'll go back to back.
Yeah, I mean, look, Vico, sometimes we let Vico talk a bit too much and starts yapping away. But I think he was very right in that today we have seen the 3 best teams in the lobby completely roll through. And we're really just starting to get to the point now where we're eagerly watching that bottom 3. Like, who's actually just going home, right? These guys are good. They're going to qualify. They're going to make it through to the, the weekend final. Who's going home?
I will say, though, that out of these 3 top teams, they've all kind of come up to the top of the leaderboard in a different sense. Sharkantini really started off strong, then kind of had a slower middle, and then have been picking things up in the latter half. Where Peterbot and Poyo, they didn't really have that strong of a start. And then as things have gone, they have steamrolled. And then, of course, there's Vico and Malabuka, who, for some reason, we didn't really pay attention to, and they have just been so consistent throughout the whole thing. I love to see just the variety in the way that these teams can be at the top.
Vivid, you've been keeping track of that 7 to 8 spot right now. And that gap just keeps getting longer and longer. I'm pretty sure when we get a chance to see the overall, you'll be able to see exactly what I'm about to mention. But it's getting so big that right now, 7 to 8 place is just separated by 54 points.
Yeah, it's super scary because it's funny that you kind of bring that up. Right now, we do have in 7th place, we're taking a look at Lua and Romero, and I was like, oh man, these guys have been doing so well. Like, how are they kind of on that threshold? And then after I saw that they were in 7th place in that last qualifying spot, then I went ahead and took a look at the points that are actually separating them, and that's where that point kind of comes in. Because in 8th place, Izzy and Nosif are 237 points. That's how many points they are on. And like you mentioned, about 50 points behind. So yes, that gap is starting to grow now between our qualified teams and our non-qualified teams. And Kelly, I got to talk about it as well, because I'm looking at Izzy and Nosif there in 8th place. In 9th place, somebody else has been in that qualification spot consistently throughout the day, but unfortunately has recently fell out. It's Bugha and Braids in 9th now. Oh my gosh.
Listen, the shadows might be cast right now, but we always know that the lion will come and awake and roar to everyone. Let him know that he is here to play. And still, Bugha and Braids, let's say that they don't make it into the top 7. I think without a doubt during our game in 2 days that they'll be able to make it into the top 3 right there. But Bugha, Braids, I think that they're going to be fine as far as it goes into the qualifications in the next 2 days. But if we're talking about these teams, Izzy and Nosif, I'm just shocked to see that they would go from a win to struggling where they are right now. And, you know, gotta wonder, is it everyone else that's just making the changes that's kind of affecting them?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think they'll be disappointed if they're not able to, you know, come back and get into the top 7. But ultimately, the expectations for these guys weren't necessarily to be an outright top 7 team. I think when we start to look at that second page of leaderboard, that's why I'm really starting to look at people like, hey, how have you allowed this to happen today? But I don't want to call out too many people. I think the biggest one from the personal note, Shadow and Virgo. I wanted to see so much more from these two. Of course, you know, Virgo repping the M8. He's going to have so much of the home support. And I just expect them to thrive more in the chaos today.
Yeah, I think Bugha kind of mentioned it the best when we were kind of talking to him prior to today, right? Prior to the start of the competition. He was like, listen, he feels like Reload is just all about who plays the end games the best. Shadow and Virgo right now are just not really making it there. I mean, I'm taking a look at some of their placements throughout the matches today. Only 3 times over the course of the competition, over the course of these 8 games, have they actually gotten into the top 10. Like what is going wrong preventing them from actually getting into these end games?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of questions to be asked there. The thing that's potentially scariest, when you look at the bottom of that leaderboard, Alex and Reckless, 20th, repping Power, repping OCE. Look, Alex, for the first time, I think in so many years, didn't qualify for the Global Championships, right?
Yeah.
In Battle Royale. Of course, we were sort of looking at him in this mode as, okay, if OC is going to show up, could he be one of those names? He's always getting put in that conversation. They just haven't showed up today. It's, you know, really many questions to be asked of them.
Well, Kelly, sorry, as I'm looking at those bottom 3 teams, I'm looking at Rejects, and that's important because Rejects is currently one of the teams that is in the club championship. They could end up getting eliminated on this first day and not being able to actually get even more championship points.
I mean, for Tomat and Mofu right now, there really isn't that too much of a difference between 18th and 17th place. I think out of those bottom 3, obviously it would be the one that's in 18th place that has the likelier chance. But I do think that there is still within contention, like the bottom 6, the bottom 7, it could easily fall in and out. It's not just the bottom 3 that are done right now. We do have 2 more games to go. Players can earn 100 points in a single game if they do have a crazy game. But you were talking about those end games, man, and we saw again from our top 3 teams just how locked in they are, where you had it was Vico Malabuga that launched first, we had Peterbah and Pollo that was controlling height, and then they launched, and then Shark and Teeny didn't launch at all. They just stole height. So what can you do? Everyone's controlling everything.
The thing I'm most keen on now is finally we've actually seen somebody hit, or a couple teams hit, over 350 points.
Yes.
Right? Of course, for the final, we're going to see match point for the very first time in Fortnite. You hit match point at 350 points. Again, if you are one of those top 3 teams, you know, you've proved you're very good today. Maybe you're almost like a trial run. How would we play if we activated match point right now and we had to make sure we won the competition over some of those guys? I think that'd be a good opportunity to practice that here.
I just want to say I was wrong, okay? I ended up saying, in my pick'ems earlier on, I ended up saying, I think that we're going to get match point on Game 7. We've just barely hit Game 7, and now these teams are finally starting to hit that threshold for 350 points. I also want to switch the focus a little bit more. We've been talking talking about those top 3 teams, but there's also a team that has been quite consistent, especially before this last match, and it's none other than Vitality with Gino and Pablo Wingu. Before this last match, they ended up being in 4th place and 2nd place too. They're starting to be consistent as well.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I don't think there's really any surprise there, right? We were kind of talking about Vitality earlier on. I think they made it to 3 of the qualifiers for the Reload Elite Series, and they placed phenomenally. I think it was a top 5 every single time there for Chino and Pablo. So no surprise to kind of see them in that top 7. And, you know, Vico's kind of talking about some of the teams that feel like they are already kind of guaranteed to qualify. Chino and Pablo are kind of approaching that threshold as well.
You know, I'm talking about the 3 top teams that are kind of controlling the high ground right now, but what Chino's doing really well is running that low and mid ground and getting a lot of eliminations where a lot of these other teams are kind of falling a little short. So that is another angle that they're able to kind of pull out on top and show why that's also a viable option.
Yeah, and this, I don't mean this in a bad way, guys, but I think they've probably been like the most boring team today. You know, like it's kind of just been like, not bad. They've been pretty good. They're consistently making it to end games. You sort of see them there. They'll pick up a couple points in awkward situations, and they're probably going to qualify through, make it to the final day, and you're going to be like, well done, boys. Good job on the day.
Actually, Levin, you want to talk about boring teams, and you know, boring has got to be in great quotation marks, because obviously if you're in the top 7, you've just been playing super, super well. But I'm taking a look at the top 7 now, and all of these teams that are in top 7, except for one, has at least a 3.75 average eliminations. And then there's Hari, and there's Cammy. They're in 6th place. They got 293 points, and their average elims is 2.25.
Shock. Cammy has the lowest eliminations of the top teams. I mean, what year is it? Is it 2021 or 2023? It could have been any of them. This has just been Cammy for years in Fortnite, and I guess it's good to see that, again, he can still find success playing that way.
Let's see what they're going to be able to do here in the upcoming next 2 matches. Who's going to stay in the top 7? Right now, that gap to 8th place is starting to get even wider and wider. And for the bottom 3, I want to see them react during this next match.
Listen, Minnie, at this point, I'm looking at the way this is all starting to take form, and it's going to take a pretty devastating mistake if you are in 5th, 6th, or 7th in order to give up your lead.
Yeah, I mean, they're there for a reason. You know, the teams that are at the top of the table here are in there for a reason. They're teams that have been able to show that even when things aren't going their way, I'm looking at Liwa Romero, they are able to rise up to the occasion, which you need to do at this level. You need to be able to maintain as much as it is about rising up the standings. Of course, lots of teams just outside of that as well. And of course, on the other end of the leaderboard, Alex Reckless, Epic Well Pumped, Tomat Mofu, the teams that are in that bottom 3 currently. Things are so close down there. One big game from any of the sort of 4 or 5 teams down at the bottom end of the leaderboard could rocket them out of that bomb.
Then you have Rainy and Nalu just, you know, the Japanese, they're just peeking on down like, oh no, it could be us too. So it's going to be pretty scary here. Sketchy times ahead of us as we jump in. Shark takes down Epic Whale immediately, then follows up with another one onto Chino, then follows up with shots onto Cammy where Braids finishes things up. Talk about a hot starter, just really secure things here. Well played for him. He's not going to be too upset about that one.
Yeah, they can still win the game. It's what they do. It's what they've been doing. Shark going down early on. More than capable of finding more eliminations and more things to play for in this game.
بشلة على التيم لحاله تمام ومات منصدم ليش مات طيب انت لحالك داخل عليهم تيمين
He said, what, 1st, 2nd, other teams, top 7, get out of here. They're making room for themselves.
So they're collecting trading cards of Fortnite goats. All the players are able to take out right here. Retro all on his own, more than happy in that position. You can see how much that's going to mean to them, of course, on the standings. They do need to have these sort of maintaining good games in the rest of this competition. Leo Romero, big performance, big show from Romero in that last game. Just going to breed a lot of confidence for these guys, particularly Liwa. Just a reminder as to why you're playing with your teammate, why these guys are at the top of the standings. Big performances so far from them. Just need to get into a bit of a rhythm inside of these end games as a duo. On the other side of things, of course, Izzy, Nosif, Booga, Braids, the teams that are just outside of that position inside of the top 7. Izzy all alone as well, having to fend off Peterbot, which is not an easy task whatsoever. Peterbot spraying inside of that wall, able to get the knock right there as well, but just in time, Nosif is able to get back into the game. Peterbot and Poyo, they are on the hunt. I think they see is that Nosif in the air next to them, so they'll keep on trying to find their way through this game, keep on pushing through, and keep on being aggressive.
He's just lining up Shadow there as well, but keep in mind, take a look at this for a quick second. If you missed it because you blinked, that's how all those eliminations came tumbling down. Meanwhile, though, Peterbot is still in the fight here with Poyo. They're just continuing to stay active. Peterbot gets hurt, though. Opts to go for that free shield here. See how quickly he bounces back. Meanwhile, Vico gets an elimination onto Braids. Peterbot falls to Virgo. It's just all unfolding here, and now the action really picking up the pace.
It's really interesting to sort of hear from Vico Malabuka. We don't tend to hear necessarily from the team that just lost the game. From their perspective, of course, getting second in that last one. But it does seem like they're going to need to rely on a lot of those team chemistry vibes that they've been having so much throughout the time they've been playing together, as Poyo finds another one right there onto Shadow. That's going to be interesting to see how those guys can bounce back. They're sort of in that middle of the standings. They're not quite low enough to drop out of the competition, not quite high enough to break into that top 7 probably from this game, but they can put themselves in that position here after here in game 9. Malabuka and Vico, one land champion fighting another. Booga trying to find an angle. Malabuka finds it. Not enough damage really to do too much harm to Booga, who launches his way out of the zone. Malabuka looks for a shot, lining it up, misses the first, second one too. He's not able to find it, and there we go, the third one. Third time lucky for Malabuka. Fourth time to try and close it out, doesn't find it. Looks as though they're going to be able to use this launch pad. Are they going to give chase right here to Booga, because Braids is in a bit of a difficult situation as well. They do. Booga out, Braids out. They're chasing that top 7, and their hopes rely on that last game.
That might be it. Like, unless Lua and Romero fall now, they are going to be so far ahead. There's only 2 games. You just dropped this one. Game 10, I mean, the math might not even be mathing.
That's the worst possible outcome, right? One of you goes down to one team, another one goes down to another. We've seen so many teams where they are able to stay alive, they're able to hold on out to get their teammate rebooted. When you're fighting 2 different teams, it becomes even more important. Reckless, though, another team that's needing a big game all the way down to the bottom of the standings. Shark giving chase right now as well. Can he find that final blow onto Reckless? Maintaining that momentum so well, of course. He's able to hit that shot. Where is Alex? And how is Alex doing? Because Alex now needs to stay alive to keep that team in the game and keep them alive right now, because this is a very important game. The bottom sort of 19th to sort of 17th, 16th, they're all quite close, whereas Alex and Reckless do have a little bit of ground to make up. You can see it on the leaderboard right now. They're just that little bit further behind, so Alex has it all to do right now.
Well, while we were focusing on that, Nosif and Izzy are also down. This is a extremely rough spot, but if you're cringing Voco, I mean, your eyes are lighting up here. What was probably an impossible scenario to find yourself in, now you just have a chance to jump in. It's going to take a hero's effort, though. You will kind of have to get up towards the upper placing points there, but Virgo, Shadow, this is a fight to not get their keys crushed at this point in time. He stays alive just long enough to get Shadow back in the game. It's really unfortunate, too. They started off so hot, and it just slipped on down.
Difficult, because they need to sort of shift their focus now just to staying in the lobby, making sure that they can play on Friday at the very least. Peterbot and Poyo don't have to worry about that whatsoever. They're continuing to plow on through this lobby. 4 eliminations now for them. They are living life on easy mode when it comes to actually qualifying through. They've got the job done more than happily, you have to imagine, here as well. Realistically, when we come into this, it's not, I suppose, done and dusted realistically, but mathematically they could still lose it. But it's Peterbot, Poyo, Goofy and Z-Dog. They're a team that sort of in the middle. Can they find themselves an opportunity to break into the top 7? This game's going to be the decider of that. They got Peterbot and Poyo on the wall. This fight could mean more to them than just this individual game. It could mean their entire qualification to either the survival stage or, of course, qualifying straight through to finals.
That's right. They're the next best up behind Cringe and Volko, and by a pretty significant few eliminations. So it is going to be important for them to continue to pop off here. Meanwhile, Muzz, Sphinx, again, sitting very much comfortably in 4th place right now. Have a fight of their life ahead of them. Is Sharkantini. Sharkantini have obviously and clearly been fired up, but Muzz and Sphinx are playing very, very well themselves. So I think Sharkantini should be able to meet their match here. So we have NA against EU. Nice job for Shark to open up on Sphinx.
What Shark's so good at is just sort of herding his opponents into the same area, into the position that he wants to find them in. Getting that free piece, getting that positioning, conditioning the fights as well. And you could see that Muzz and Sphinx falling right into his trap because he was almost ushering them into that position. You can see what it means though when you're on the opposite side of things. Muzz and Sphinx have to now separate. They've got to do things solo. Sharkantini looking to try and close on in. Shark looking for the shot, not connecting in that instance. 2 of the world's best fighters going head to head right now. Shark definitely you have to fancy in this situation. So many angles being covered, so many pieces being controlled, and Muzz is just trying to escape. He's trying to scurry away, but there's only so much you can do against Shark. He's got him in the box. He's got so many of those walls, but Muzz can escape right now, and this is the danger for Muzz. He doesn't have this piece control. He's trying to scurry away.
There was a point in time where Muzz would have been the fastest and most mechanical player in the world, but this new age in Shark and Tini are just a different breed right now. Hey, Muzz, we love you. We respect you. You're still in 4th place, but man, Shark and Tini are looking different.
What's the difference? You know, we're not talking about 1st and last. We're not talking about 1st and 50. We're talking about 1st and 4th, right? Levels difference in terms of fighting ability. Shark showing exactly how far he has come and what he means here on this global stage. Had a little bit of a wobble in the last major. We didn't see a great performance from them in day 1. We didn't see the star-studded performance maybe some people were expecting out of them in the Major 1 Summit, in the traditional sort of FNCS track, but I think shaking off a lot of those nerves, particularly for Shark, making his first LAN earlier on in the year, now LAN number 2. Expectations are so high, so for them it's all about maintaining that calm, maintaining that positioning that they find themselves in.
Everything on the line right now for Epic Whale Pump. No points earned. One of the first teams to get kind of picked off. You saw there to the hands of Shark. Things haven't looked much better since. I mean, the loadout extremely scrappy, even for a reload tournament. This is just shambles all around the board. They're just really, really struggling here. But hey, one good end game and they will jump up and bounce over. They can make the leap here and put another team into a dangerous situation. Malibuca and Vico, while we were kind of looking all around, they're already at 7 elims, so just creating terror on the field here.
Sharkantini again continuing their plowing through the lobby. It's what they do best. It's what they're happy to do. It's where they feel most comfortable. And there's Malibuca looking to try and take out his EU counterpart.
A little classic.
Love that. Yeah, that's like OG Fortnite. Strats right there, isn't it?
Little classic. You love to see it. Back on over to Sharkantini as they are our muse for the time being here. Zone 6, where most teams are not going to be looking to do anything crazy. Sharkantini quite literally have nothing to lose at this point. They will be the thorn in all the other team's sides at this point. Phoenix and Retro managed to somehow kind of stand things off while all that was happening, though. Pablo and Chino end up falling here. Is that going to be enough to actually put them in any dangerous situation? I doubt it, though. 330 points, pretty strong lead they have right now. Need to happen twice, actually. If Pablo and Chino had an early fall like that twice, it could be really, really bad. So they're the first to fall inside of our top 7 duos. Here's a look at the map. At least we got some land in play. Right?
Yeah.
A couple of those games are pretty rough to kind of kick things off. I've noticed that now things have kind of gotten back to somewhat of a more standard type of zone play.
Nico Malibuca, 7 eliminations, but looking low on the HP realistically for both of them. Looking for that siphon, particularly on Malibuca to try and get their HP back up. It's all about building that confidence ready for them. Look at that though, Goofy and Z-Dog causing them trouble. Now Vico down to 9 HP, that ticking, that timer in all of the players' ears. Reboots now ended.
There it is. No more rebooting back into the game. This reload format keeps things super exciting, though, for us as teams are still fighting now. And if you get taken down, it's a worst-case scenario for you. And then you have someone like Shark on your heels here. Teeny's going to go in and finish up Phoenix. Pressure coming in for the rest of the lobby. Teeny's very hurt. They have almost asked for the lobby to look this way. This is what happens. You get into too many fights here. Gotta be careful, but look at that. They buy themselves a little bit of time. Alex and Reckless likely steal the loot from down there. That'll be really good for them. Remember, they are dead last right now. They literally need something. They need a top 5.
It is time. It's time for them to show up right now. We haven't seen much from them throughout the day. They've not really shown us what they can do and what they have been doing on their home region. Peterbot and Poyo. We've seen them, of course, doing exactly what they do best in this game. Looking for height here again early on. Identified the fact that they can hold on to it. And Peterbot with the Mammoth in hand, looking to do so much damage, missing a couple of shots in quick succession, but hitting another one, actually dropping himself down right there, but they don't mind right now. They're sort of banking on that zone, pulling back towards that southwest. So if that does happen, expect them up on height again. And remember, this is a team that just have been playing these endgame zones so effectively well. Looks like Shark and Teeny, though, they're not allowing them to have this higher positioning. Shark and Teeny want it for themselves. Two of our Titan teams going head-to-head right now. They're going to have to settle for that lower ground positioning. Peterbot down, getting sprayed from all angles. Poyo looking as though he's weak as well, and they both go down. Peterbot and Poyo eliminated. Shark and Teeny are the team that take them out as well.
This has to be motivating, frustrating, and everything in between the range of emotions of those two words I just mentioned for Peterbot and Poyo as they start looking towards the grand finals. I think they know who they need to try to find a solution for, because Shark and Teeny are running away with this group stage.
They are, and remember, it's the mental game as well. That's the game that they were winning when they were dominating NA Central. It's the game that they keep on winning. And right now, they lost that mental battle. Epic well with the rebooted loot, the reloaded loot that you get from when you respawn on in. As we get to take a look at how that fight went down. Peterbot, Poyo versus Shark and Teeny, star-studded fight. Again, Shark having that piece control, having that ability to take them out. And another one. That's what Shark does. That's what he's built for. That's what he's made for.
For Lua, for Romero, this is their moment to break so far ahead that they can secure their way to the finals. Can they do something big here? Meanwhile, Malabuka Vico, of course, still keeping pace. The last time we tuned in with Vico, he had this low amount of HP, and it hasn't changed much since. Pumped, though. The tournament is on your back, my friend. How far can you push it now? You are on and knocking on death's door, and down he goes inside a 10. It was further than any other game, though, so at least he gave us a little bit of life here. Malabuka Vico, though, still in the game right now in the ultimate low ground here. Just trying to find their footing.
Yeah, they're looking for a refresh right now. They need that siphon, which they get. Malabuka, that's going to be huge to keep their hopes of staying in this game alive. But as I say that, Malabuka down. Shark and Teeny still flying high up in the sky. They are looking on down to the rest of the lobby. They want to close out yet another victory royale. These guys are running the show right now. They've taken out their direct competition. They don't want just first place. They want first place by an absolute mile. Liwa, Romero, they need to take advantage of Pablo and Chino going down earlier in the game. This is a huge game for them, but crucially, Monster, they're here as a duo.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, at this point, they're going to be able to spring and jump their way up the standings here. Just continue to kind of have that cushion against between them and the rest of the pack. Shark, Teeny at 14 eliminations and counting. They got the high ground. And just with a staggering amount of dominance here, there is not another duo in sight that can stop them at this point. Muzz's fix here, take down Vico and Malabuka. That's going to be it from them inside the top 5. Sphinx and Muzz continue to rock their way up. Lua goes down. It's up to Romero to do a little bit more, but Sphinx is firing up here.
You know what? Z-Dog, Goofy as well, still in this game. They're healing inside of the Storm. Romero, Lua, they are out. Sphinx looking to try and make this game count, of course, as well. Teeny up on height. Goofy and Z-Dog trying to go for height. Teeny says, no, 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 this is our domain. We're not letting you up here. Z-Dog now has to do it all alone. This is a huge game for Z-Dog right now. They're trying to break their way into that top 7, remember, as well. So much of their direct competition are hip-to-hip with them. So Muzz has to try and go for height himself, looking to try and take the game for their own. Muzz and Sphinx, a healthy duo, but Sphinx goes down to the hands of Teeny. They are an unstoppable force right now.
Hey, Muzz can still do this. They almost have the chop right there. Shark and Teeny are out of shields here. They're just healing. If there's one player that could have did something big, it would have been Muzz, but in the end, Shark and Teeny, I mean, at this point, have just really showed us what they are all about. The three-peat back to back to back. You know, I thought Peterbot and Pollo just had the map on lock, and then you just got these boys playing so well.
It's just unbelievable every single time. You just think, yeah, surely now, right? They're going to have to settle for a second or a third, but they don't. They do not settle for those positions. They want those wins. They want to show the lobby, and I think even taking down Peterbot and Pollo in that game, they're a team that want to win that mental game. They're a team that want to show that they are better than Peterbot and Pollo because, yeah, they've already qualified through. They're chilling. It's not about qualifying anymore. It's about showing. It's about proving. It's about dominating, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah, the crazy part about all that as well is the more experience they earn in these LAN environments, I mean, the better for them in the long run. Well, here's Muzz, here's Sphinx's perspective. Shark and Teeny, of course, dominated. We'll get to hear from their POV. I don't expect much, but we might get a little something here.
Mana. 100. Dead. Dead. Nice. 4 builds. 0 builds. 20. Yeah, 5 builds. Take. You're healthy. Wait. 1 3.
Not a good job, not a congrats, not a well played, not anything.
Radio silence.
I don't think he blinked. It's crazy.
It's a fun game to play at home. When they win the next game, what are they going to say, if anything?
Over, under, on. Just stone cold expressions at this point. I mean, the tournament might be over. They're going to be in first. They might just walk out and ignore Zeke's interview altogether. We'll just see. Well, we're just having fun here. You can see the expressions on players. The game planning. For some, I think they feel like, hey, at least we're not going to get our keys crushed here. They'll start looking towards a survival day. For others, it's like, what can we do to not get our keys crushed? Either way, though, I'm going to take a second to go find myself a Flowberry Fizz. Then when we get back, we'll have more Fortnite action.
We were there. For every click, every clutch, every respawn. We were there for the years of grind. And we're here. Now. The proud founding partner of EWC. Powering the biggest event in gaming. Shoulder to shoulder with the world's best. Making history. Greatness deserves a stage. Lenovo Legion. Reach your impossible.
Oh, it feels so good to be here on this stage with one of my greatest friends in this scene, Jacob PR. Jacob, it's crunch time. We're going into that final game. We've seen a lot of Fortnite today. You were calling some of the games. Anybody sort of you're looking at in this last game to really step things up now?
Yeah, I'm looking at somebody that multiple people have mentioned throughout the weekend. I heard Clicks mention him, Peterbot mentioned himself. I'm looking at Booga and Braids, the World Cup champion. I know I mentioned like Epic Well, how long he's had been and his tenure is. Booga won the World Cup. He qualified in the last game of his qualifiers just to make it here. And why not have a little repeat today?
Of course, I think we were also excited to see him playing here on this stage. I'll be honest though, I did walk past them. They just sat to the right of us. I looked at Braids, I said, are things going thumbs up, middle, down, and he looked at me and he said it's a thumbs down right now. So it's going to have to be better in this last game. And of course, they're one of those teams sitting just outside of being able to qualify in that top 7, right? They need a big last game here if they're going to have to make it happen. You think they can do it?
I think they can. There is a little bit of a gap as well. It's not going to be easy, just like outplays your opponent. I do think they need to get a couple of eliminations throughout the course of their game while placing over their opponents by a decent margin. But
look, on top of them, you have to look at Izzy and Nosif, right? A team that had probably a hotter start to the day. Of course, they had all the fans in here really cheering for them, really impressed with them. I obviously am a big fan of these guys, you know, repping from EU. I know a lot of the EU fans are watching them and hoping for them to put in a good performance. Unfortunately, again, it's just sort of slowed down a bit. I think they really need a big push here in this final game.
Yeah, I think for Izzy and Nosif, you know, when they're flying under the radar and people don't necessarily realize they're in the lobby or playing as well as they do, they perform phenomenally. But in a reload tournament like this, where you almost literally have to take out your competition in order to qualify, in order to win the finals as well, it just makes them a little bit more noticeable. They kind of put a target on their back by playing so well and coincidentally. So I do think they're kind of in the same boat as Bugha and Braids. They have all the potential in the world, but they just might need to pick up eliminations to close the gap.
I think the thing that gives me a bit of confidence for Izzy and Nosif is in EU, a lot of the time they have had these late game resurgences, right? Where you get to a tournament, the back end of things, you think, oh, are they in it? Are they out? Are they in? Are they out? And they just roll through in that last game and really put on the show. And I think the great thing is here, obviously they have these amazing fans. I feel like the energy though from the fans, they need a bit more of that energy. Are there still any Izzy and Nosif fans in here? Any, make some noise. All right, I see some people.
Okay, I hear a lot of people.
Oh, yeah, no, okay. So again, that's the type of energy they need. I think it's been so beautiful to see. Even where they're not, you know, on one of these French orgs like a Vitality or Gentlemates, I'm seeing so many of those fans just grouping around those guys and giving them that support.
Yeah, and honestly, I just want to see them play like they have nothing to lose. Because in essence, they almost do have nothing to lose because they're so high up, it's impossible for them to get into the bottom 3. So why not just put it all on the table, leave no regrets behind, and hopefully make it directly to finals so you have a break.
Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to this. So look, Paris, if you're ready for this last game, make some noise! Let's send it to the casters.
خلصت ولا خلاص ما ادري.
Ready as are we here on the casting booth. We've got one more game here of Group A, the first day. So many storylines here to pick up on. So many teams that are fighting for their position, whether that's to break into that top 7, whether they're maybe an OCE team like Z-Dog and Goofy looking to try and put their region on the map. As you can see in the top 10 right now, there are opportunities on the table. We saw Chino and Pablo Wingu. We saw those guys going down early in that last game. There are opportunities on the table. You need one of those top teams to go down in order to break your way through. But then on the other side of things, the bottom 3, you do not want to find yourself in that position at the end of the day. Reminder, the bottom 3 teams will be completely eliminated from the competition. So for the teams like Rainy and Nalu, for the teams like Epic Well Pump, Alex and Reckless, they are a team that need to break their way out of that. And for the teams that are just outside here as well, they need to survive. Everything comes down to this here, this final game. It's all about to go down. And for some of these players, this could be the last game they play. They got to make sure it's not that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're holding down the ship here. You see the story. The stage has been set, and we are going into match 10 here shortly. This group stage, though, Minnie, I just gotta ask you, it definitely set up for our expectations. The teams we thought that were, you know, looking dominant clearly, right, are now starting to show us they've just kind of taken this all away.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much of that dominance from some of our top teams, which we expected. And then you get some of our teams that maybe we didn't expect to do as well. Z-Dog, Goofy, just on that cusp of that top 7. What a performance they've been putting in today. Now is where it really matters. And I think this is the sort of moments in these final games when the pressure is on. This is where legacies are born. This is where the start of some of these players' stories can be forged. And for some of our top teams, for some of our big players, this could be where it all gets real.
And there's a lot of teams that might have it. And Vico obviously enjoying the moment, trying to live in it. This guy's just something else. Ever since he won that championship at the summit, he's just really starting to blossom here. You'll love to see it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to wait much longer. We're getting into the final match of the evening here of the Fortnite Reload Championship here at the EWC 2026. This has been some incredible top-tier Fortnite. This is only the beginning for what's to come. Vico here to kick things off from dancing straight into the action.
Well, the last time Vico was dancing on LAN, he won it. So if your teams, you got to be scared of him. Of course, it's not going to be done today. The job's not done. Still got Saturday's finals, of course, to do that. And Seed does go down. Peterbot and Shark, not the two players you want on the either side of your wall. Is Shark going to dance here? Give us an emote. It's Peterbot. It's Peterbot.
Yeah, it's worse than that. He just stopped moving, looked at him, said, I don't need an emote for you to know what is happening here and now. It's really crazy. He's just kind of grabbing the competition by his own grips here. It's so insane.
It's his second LAN.
Yeah.
You'd think it would be his 20th.
Saw the quick pickaxe there from Peterbot. He's also having a good time here, clearly. Pop Epic Whale have some problems to potentially work with. Vico and Malibuca are in a fight right now up against, of course, Peterbot there. The Slippery Swamp remaining extremely active at this point.
Peterbot, Poyo. Battling it. Oh no! Peterbot down to full damage. That's not good. Malibuca gets a gift. Lovely job for him right now. Poyo in an awkward situation. It's been a little bit of full damage today. We've had a few full damage situations.
Saw that rocket launcher come out. I just thought of Teeny again. I'm like, don't do it, buddy. Hasn't had a good hit record here on stream today. But wait a second. Malibuca pushing in. Little pump fake on the edit there. Ooh.
Oh.
He goes down. Look how fast Peterbot turned around. That's the respect. And Malibuca's hunting. This is your child, son. Oh my gosh. And he takes them down. Peterbot and Poyo are officially your first team to fall. I think that's like a record for them, being the first team to ever fall in a competition, probably ever, right? That just doesn't happen very often.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Technically a 1v2 from Malibuca. A bit of a helping hand from the full damage, but a 1v2 nevertheless. Let's go Malibuca. Let's see what they can do now in the rest of this game. They'll be looking at that first place spot, but unfortunately I think it's solidly held down by Shark and Teeny. Speaking of, Goofy inside of the box. Lots more on the line for Goofy and Z-Dog, as Z-Dog actually has gone down there to Teeny. So if Goofy goes down here, their hopes of breaking into that top 7 could be over. Shark getting absolutely beamed from another angle. That was Braids inside of that box. Cheeky from him. Shark and Teeny are looking at those angles and looking at anyone and everyone to go and chase. Good news for the Power Boys, though, in Goofy, as he's staying alive, and JFT Z-Dog can get respawned.
Yeah, you know, they just get to live to see another day here, fight another day. Goofy just playing in the cone now. This is a really desperate situation to be in as well. Really consider what's happening here. He is down to just a shock in here. You know, again, for them at this point, the last game here, the lead being so far ahead, they just don't want to get sent down and out to the key crush. What's going to take place after this? I was gonna call it a ceremony, but is it even a ceremony to watch your keys get crushed?
It's a funeral.
It's bad. It can be very bad. Nalu and Reino have that to deal with as well. This is the situation they're in. These are their cards they've been dealt. They haven't been able to perform up to par, and now they're having to deal with just trying to survive at this point.
Kari and Hammy. A team that you expect a lot from on LAN. This is a situation that we saw Malibuca get himself into, an absolute gift. Not only full damage, but it's Peterbot. Of course, takes down Poyo. Yeah, he took down Poyo as well. Definitely, it could be a 1v3. You could call that if you want. Lovely work from Malibuca there. That's what he does. Puga as well. Why not make it 4? That's what he does.
That's a highlight. That's definitely a reel in its own. Oh, we put that one together for you real quick in case you missed it. PH in Edson, though, 170 here. again, teams that are very much on the bubble right now that just have to outperform, outpace that remaining competition, as anything can happen. Clearly, with tops teams falling, that means bottom teams have a chance to jump up. So anything really can happen. You got to be very careful with your tournament position.
Dangerous though, look at this. Teeny, Mythic in hand. Mythic drum gun no less. Alex down below. Alex needs to stay inside of this tournament. Remember, they are very much last place at the moment, and that's not going to help as Alex does go down. Had to try and find some whites somewhere in the vicinity. Reckless trying to keep his team alive as well. The difficulty for Alex and Reckless, they don't just need to stay in the game, they need a good game here as well. So it's going to be difficult for them to make it happen, but you know, if there's any time to do it, the time is now.
Yeah, everyone's got a different story. Epic Whale and Pump. Just rough tournament overall, but again, this map has proved to be at least marginally better for them.
Yeah.
But they need to do more. Last game, they got that little bit of an end game, had a sample of it. They need to see Pump in Epic Whale do it one more time in order to kind of leapfrog their way out of the Key Crush.
I think the difficult thing that I saw from them in the last game is we saw Epic Whale going down in that earlier stage of the end game, and Pump couldn't quite solo clutch. And I think what we've seen from some of the better teams, the teams in that top 7 today, is when they've been put in that situation, the Fragger has solo clutch. They've been able to squeeze out placing points. I'm not talking about solo clutch wins. Nobody here is capable of course doing that from right at the beginning, maybe Shark, but it's very difficult to do that. But just squeezing out a few extra placements, it's so valuable, and they couldn't do that in that last game. Izzy and Nosif, though, Jacob and Levin were talking about it going into this game. This is an absolutely massive game for them. They need the entire of France on their side right now, but unfortunately they've only got one player on their side for the time being. Izzy all alone, Nosif going down. I think for them, realistically, their sights have to shift in order to just staying in the lobby, which I think they've got more than locked down. Can they have a big win here? Levin spoke about it going into this. They have had these big games going into last games over on EU. They've been able to clutch up. Can they do it on land when the pressure's on? The crowd's looking at them. The country are looking at them as well in this lobby. Can they do it?
Yeah, and that's the thing. You know, anything can happen at this point. If Cammy and Hari get caught out of positioning, out of place, Romero and Lua get taken down, Chino or Pablo fall early, you know, all of a sudden now, you know, placement start to get, you know, looked at here. And then you have someone like Shark and Teeny, who, by the way, are continuing to run through the lobby. Things are going to be ending here tonight on Fort Crumpet. We're going to have a highly congested zone as, of course, everything goes that way. Look at what's happening here, though. Shark and Teeny had 12 eliminations, doing what other lobbies, other players in the lobby need to get done. But here's Vico. Little spam crouch for Shark there in the end. Malibuka, though, still on the hunt as well. I was going to say, for all I know, Teeny might just put his hands up and say, catch me if you can. You can't. There's that far ahead. As they've got this all but secured. But still, 7 elims. They're playing very well.
Yeah, and honestly, I think Teeny's really good at staying alive. We were speaking about it earlier, how important that skill is. Teeny's had this sort of reputation for a long time in EU as being that sort of solo lurker, trying to lurk around, try and find little shots. He used to lurk on surge bases back in the day. That was sort of the Teeny strat, landing in different locations. And I think that's honestly helped him in this situation. He knows where he can go as a solo. Vico Malibuka, though, they've spotted him out, not able to lurk for too much longer. Malibuka with that RPG straight into the box, but not actually doing any damage right there, just causing a bit of havoc inside of this area. Thankfully for Teeny, shot would have been rebooted by now. Unfortunately for Teeny, he's losing a lot of HP. Vico from one angle, Malibuka from another. That's a difficult sandwich to be in the middle of. But unfortunately, they're going to lose that Mythic, as Vico is able to pick that up. Vico X Mythic X Endgame X Momentum. What can we see?
I don't have anything else to add to that one. I think you hit about every trait you can.
X dancing.
There you go. Well, with that, back on over to Izzy and Nosif. Hey, if they want it, they will have to survive, but they get taken out. Shark catches one, Vico gets the other. And there's the full conclusion of their tournament run here now. Shark, though, just walks into a haymaker from Vico. Hey, did you get enough the first time there, did you? He comes back for more. Teeny now lurking about, just really living up to the reputation.
Vico's loving it. He's loving it on the left side of the screen right there. He's grooving. He's feeling good. He's moving. in these lobbies as well. And that's the sort of Vico that you want to see. He's now taken down Shark twice in quick succession. And I think Vico does see Shark as sort of enemy number one. The player that...
Most definitely.
Yeah, you know, he's the fragger that he wants to sort of catch. Everyone's talking about Shark. It's like, why not talk about me? I'm the most recent man, chap.
And I think he's doing a good job keeping himself in the conversation at this point, and then also just framing himself up for that grand finals rivalry, right? We all, you know, of course, know that Falcons is in a very tough spot right now with Peter and Boyo. And there it is. Finally, someone takes him down after all that. It's going to be Romero who gets his get back there. Kind of seals the deal.
Yeah, they'll be more than happy with that as well. Lots of teams playing inside of the Storm like we talked about before. Slurpee, Swamp able to have plenty of those heals, of course, to make their way into the zone. Romero knowing that very well, of course, indeed. Malabuka, Vico just next door, more than happy just to sneak on by. Oh no, what a shot from Romero. That was a headshot. That was onto Malabuka. Vico trying to go for the revive. I don't think he's going to be able to get it. The pressure comes on through from Romero. Malabuka has to then close on out and look for the reboot, which he does. Vico stuck inside of so many different boxes that I don't think he owns. He's got to try and find his way out of this situation. Romero and Liwa are more than happy. Remember, this is a team that are inside of that top 7 team from the Brazilian region. And a team that are defying expectations right now. Another huge shot from Romero, but look who it's on, Monster. It's on to Alex.
Alex is definitely wishing he could go back in time, and that was a little bit of greed and temptation. He was sitting on those keg barrels there, trying to just inch out a couple of more seconds, and that will cost him there. And then you hear the timer, so I don't think he's actually back in the tournament. It might not have been enough unless he squeaked out at the very end.
I think just about enough time, but the difficulty is now, is he going to be able to actually fly back in? Is he going to be able to actually do it? Hopefully for him, he'll be able to find an opportunity right there as Vico does get knocked there in the feed as well. Booger and Braze looking to cause havoc from the front side of this zone. They've almost got priority here above the rest of the lobby, and that's what I've liked about their gameplay so far today. They've been really proficient at getting towards that front side of zone. They've been really solid in terms of their positioning. Vico still a knock and only a knock. Malabuka down to just his white HP, getting pressure from so many different angles, trying to use this hill as cover. But unfortunately, he's getting looked at from 3 or 4 different teams, different angles, doing well to keep his team in it.